Well, guess what? You never get him back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
Yeah. All kinds of devices and shit on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, kids ain't, unless they're a hardcore gamer, they're probably not about DI life.
One of them is.
Do they?
Yeah,
are they DI'd or not? Are they? What type of gamer are they?
No, he is on Wi-Fi actually. Now that I think about it, I'm surprised.
What a scumbag! I was trying to think of a nice word to call your kid that's like insulting, but not too much. You know, he's one of those. He's one of those.
Poser.
Yeah, no. Well, is it? Well, he don't take it seriously. That's what I meant. I guess, right? I was curious.
He takes it pretty seriously. Yeah, like he wants to build a custom PC. He's on.
I guess the competing part is what I meant.
Yeah, like he
takes it seriously. I want to know what's his reasoning. I'm not. It's very rare to meet a person who's like, I take it seriously, but like but I myself, like usually the people who are like, look, man, who gives a shit, are like, you know, the people having fun and stuff. But to not be on, you know, a cable, be like, but I take it uber seriously. Like that's pretty impressive. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that.
I don't think he. Well, he's probably as serious as you could get for a 14-year-old. But like, he, I don't even know if he's thought about the direct connect thing, to be honest with you. But if he did, we'd probably be like, yeah, cool, go ahead and like save up for all the shit you need.
How many feet of wire? Yo, because I got like a maybe 30-footer in my room. Like how many feet of wire would he need for a direct connect?
So he wouldn't even need wire because my wife doesn't have a wire running to the room that she's in. We got these things that you plug into the outlets.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I don't remember what they're called, but yeah. That's convenient if they work.
Yeah, it works really surprisingly good. Yeah, it's like it's like a transmitter and a receiver. You plug it into your outlet, you plug your modem into that, and then you can still, it has an outlet on it, so you don't like lose outlets. And then you put the other one, the receiver, in another room, and it sends the internet like through the wiring in your house. When I heard about that, I was like, oh shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's the mega convenience. Let's see.
Yeah, so if he wanted on that, he would just have to have a birthday or something. I don't know.
Can you do that? Is that some new kid tech I don't know? I'm not familiar with. You just like, I want something. I'm gonna have a birthday, and you just kind of make one.
No, you can't make up a birthday. You gotta wait for one to come around, or Christmas or something.
Oh man.
Or you know, do some chores and work for it.
Yeah, I used to love Christmas as a kid. Now I'm just like,
you're like, oh, this shit's depressing.
No. Though I tell you what, though, there's probably like a middle age. When I say middle age, I don't mean like I guess current age, which would I guess be more middle age. But when I mean middle, there's probably like a middle. So I think as a young, I think the cycles of Christmas was probably young. I love it because I'm gonna get, you know, gifts and mostly games is what I was interested. But then later, I think holidays used to be really depression to me. I used to feel like lonely, and that's probably because I just wanted like some girlfriend type thing or something going on. I ain't have that.
Yeah.
And then I think now they're more like I don't know if neutral is the right word, but they're more like, yeah, it's for the family. They seem to really like it, and I mean, like I was gonna do my thing either way, so do it with you here, I guess. You know, like so. Yeah,
man. No, a lot of people get depressed around the holidays.
Yeah, it don't happen anymore, but definitely that was a thing. And to be fair, when that was happening, that goes into a part of my life where I don't even think I was aware that I was depressed or like feeling like I could detect that feeling, but I don't think I knew why, and I didn't know. I mean, I'm like, a part of me is like, man, are we really gonna do the mental health thing? I don't mind, but I'm like I feel like that's definitely an Abe standard, so I wasn't planning on going there, but right. Yeah, I didn't know how to to ask myself questions and find out like what's wrong with myself back then. So I think it was just like, yeah, I don't think there was any solution otherwise. Like, I guess you need to do that shit yourself. Get the wife or whatever or something. That's the only way to fill that hole, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I think you just got to figure out how to handle it. I don't know if there's a better word for it, but.
Well, for me, I would, I mean, and this is the simple solution for every problem. Obviously, every problem's different, so that doesn't mean it's simple. But you need to, you know, just need to find out like why it is you're feeling how it is, and try to understand what it really is, and then you can address it from there. You know? Versus, I think before it was just kind of like painful feelings, and then I'm just throwing darts at something I didn't even know what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Like maybe you're trying to figure it out, but you just haven't figured out the right path or something. But
yeah.
whether that's like meditation or therapy or what, you know.
Yeah.
As long as you don't turn to like hard drugs, hopefully you figure it out, you know.
I mean, like sometimes I feel like I have turned to hard drugs, and I don't mean like the stereotypical society drugs, but I do feel like definitely food. You know, like I think you can treat anything as a hard drug, right? But like,
That's true.
Like, is liquor a hard drug, right? No, but I'm sure there's some people, they do it at a certain level that it just is, you know? So look, my hard drug might be sugarcane soda or something, you know, as pathetic as that sounds, you know?
I would definitely put hard liquor in the hard drug category for some people. I guess it's all kind of based on your personality, right? But
yeah,
I know some people that have lost their lives or ruined their lives or damn near ruined their lives on alcohol. So, yeah, I would say that could be a hard drug.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like pretty much almost saying this a bit blindly, but I think almost any addiction to some degree can, depending on how you abuse it, could probably be a hard drug, you know?
Yeah.
So I think definitely for me, food, I'd be going ham with that shit. So
a lot of people that have addictive personalities get out of bad habits by switching that addiction to something else healthier. You know, like
I've thought of that.
Get addicted to working out, or
I've heard
any
that.
number of things.
I've heard that from many stories, but sometimes I wonder if that's really the true solution, or are you just kind of escaping to something actually positive versus like, yo, my addiction at least is gonna bless me, and I'll figure it out down the line. You know what I mean? Like, I think it wasn't until I was way older, like, you know, like growing up, Michael Jordan's one of the GOATs, you know? Well, for a lot of people, but definitely for me, you know, but like, and I would always hear him as a youngster, like, yo, basketball is my escape. I don't think I understood what the hell that sentence even meant, you know, like, till I was older.
Right.
But now I kind of understand, like, when you see later on, you know, like, and now, like, you know, I don't even mean this in an insulting way, because now that he's dead, it comes off different. But, you know, Kobe was one of the, probably like the first MJ clone, you know? But when he's going through the court case trial, like, I don't remember how many months, but that lasted a season. And this dude's going from court case to basketball game to court case to basketball game. And he would play ham. Like, he would go crazy. Like, he would play like 40-point games and like have still great games and then have to go. And it's because that literally was his escape. I don't even think I understood that even when Kobe was playing. Like, that's an escape for him.
Right.
But at the same time, and I don't know if you saw The Last Dance, even if you don't like basketball like that.
I have seen it, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was the first time, I think, unless you were a mega basketball fan, that the public had a chance to see like the insanity that is Michael Jordan. And I don't even mean like I meant the mental part of it.
Right.
Because my friend told me this, yo, before, because I left New York at 18, and I didn't understand this sentence either. And I was like, yo, how did you know this shit as a child? You know, because we're like children. And I'm like, but he told me Michael Jordan's real power was his mind. And I'm think that documentary is the first time that I think the public got to see that. And you could just see it. You don't even got to name an example. You could see it like so obviously, right, his escape was dope, set him up for life. But you could also see like how the scars kind of transcend into how he acts because of it. You know, he would almost view crazy. He would view some things as insults, and that's why he's going to destroy you in basketball. You know?
Right. Yeah, he would take like just a little piece of something and turn it into something big in his mind and use that.
Yeah, and like, it's like, dude, I just didn't like dinner last night. Why are you tripping? Why are you tripping?
Right. Meanwhile, you're getting dunked on because you said something about how the steaks were cooked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know.
That was like his superpower.
And he even said it in that documentary that he's better now. And that he even did therapy and shit too post him retiring, you know. So probably because he didn't have that release no more, so probably now you can't run from it, you know.
Right.
So I think it's better to have a positive one, like you're saying, but sometimes I don't think I almost think that's like almost a positive way of delaying it, you know, like whatever it is you need to face, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if that guy had some kind of just rage built up in him, and his way of like dealing with that was putting it on the court, and then you retire, it's like, damn, where's that gonna? It's got to go somewhere, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And it went.
So
I guess it went to his empire, like more Nikes, or I don't know if they're still
right.
called Nikes when they're sold under his name, but I assume something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that's a lot of the topics I expected to have for more. Not that I have a lot, I only have really like two, I guess. But I mean, I thought it would be cooler with more people here. But I'll try the second one with you, and then we'll see where we go from there. But like,
Cool.
as I lose stream power, but it doesn't matter because still recording it. But
You're on that Wi-Fi, dude.
I know, man. It's that wired Wi-Fi where it's just trash. Nah, you know what it is? It's just as good as Wi-Fi. It's called Spectrum. Shout out to Spectrum. Fucking trash ass. No mercy. No mercy in that description. Fuck that trash. All the cursing I'm gonna do is probably just directed at Spectrum for this podcast. Probably no cursing, but except for talking about shitty ass Spectrum. Oh my gosh.
There's an exception to the rule if you're talking about Spectrum. Was that that used to be Time Warner, right?
Yes. Oh, just a legacy of trash, like a family tree of trash.
For real, dude. I had them back in the day, and yeah, trash is a pretty accurate description. I got AT&T now for the home Wi-Fi, but yeah, Time Warner was just garbage, dude. And then you had to deal. It was so bad that like everybody knew all these tricks for when they bump the price up, just threaten to cancel, and then they'll drop the price back down, and then it's cool for like a year, and then they start going up again.
Goat of doing that. I swear, my mom did that every year. Hell yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, yo, they literally would advise me to do that on negotiations, and I was like, what? Why we even gotta play this game?
Right? Why don't you just be a good company? You know? And on top of that, yeah, the signal. Anyway, dude, yeah, we could talk forever just about that, but
yo, and I just happen to live in a very bad part of San Antonio in regards to internet. So AT&T is like ×2 trash in this area. Like they can still to this day they can only offer 50 download, 5 up, which is basura. Like that literally has been a staple of theirs for years. But since you're on it, are you on I guess you're on fiber AT&T? Is that my guess?
Yeah.
I figured that.
Hold on, I gotta look around my camera. I don't know if it would mess the stream up. I was gonna do a speed test just to see what the hell it was kicking out, but
if you want to do it. Who cares, man? We good,
Let's crash the stream, dude.
Do it.
Hold on.
No
Let's
worries.
see.
Yeah, and if it crashes the stream, this clearly AT&T failed the test.
If me doing a speed test crashes the stream, then yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. No, it's gotta connect to a server. It's gonna take a second, but
so if you do, by the way, like for me, and you know, I haven't done the research in so long, but I'm a big test my guy for my speed test. Wow, it did freeze you a little bit. It gave you a blip. I'm like, yo, I'm sorry, AT&T failed the test.
Just dropping a few packets, man. No big deal.
Yo, I could probably do a speed test right now. You wouldn't even notice. And I'm streaming to Twitch, yo. Like, I mean, come on. And I know I don't got nothing what you gonna tell me what you're about to.
Yeah, probably.
That's the AT&T scam. That's the AT&T.
It's finally taken off.
If you have fiber, you must have and I say that, by the way, as I'm just like dropping frames. So I don't know. It's like everything's just crap today, I guess. But if you have fiber, then does that mean you also have access to Google Fiber, but you don't have it?
Man, there was a lot of hype behind Google Fiber for a while, and then it just kind of seemed to go away. I don't think our area has Google Fiber yet. At least the last time I checked. But got ads popping up. Okay, I got download speed is 591 megabits per second. Upload is 299.78.
I won't even give you the part of me. You know what? Let's just for research. Do testmy.net.
Test my.
.net. Yeah. Now do that site and compare. So you told me like basically 500 down, 200 up, right?
591 up, 300
600 down, 200 up.
Yeah, 300. It's like
300.
299 up.
That's dope. That's dope. I mean, I would take that, yo. Like, when I lived at Bob's house as a video creator, he only had 100 up from Google Fiber. That was the best 3 months of my internet life.
You're like, I might move back just for that.
For real, dude.
On this website,
hit combined, by the way. That's what you want to do. Combined
automatic.
Test.
It's got download, test, upload, test, and automatic. I'm guessing you.
Oh, did
automatic.
they change they stuff? Let's find out. Test my. No, combined.
I see what's up.
Yeah.
I see what's up now.
Download, upload, combined, and latency.
Dude, this shit is. Why can't I just click go on this bitch? What? There's a lot of options.
Yeah, no, this is the real man speed test. That's why.
Oh shit. Okay, we got to go through with it then.
Well,
so
that's why I was asking, because these guys would come over Spectrum and they'd be like, your internet's working fine, and then I would do a test here. I was like, this shit says my shit is trash and it's performing as trash. And they're like, look, basically the argument ended up being like, well, as long as it passes our speed test. And I was like, the fuck does that even mean? Basically, as long as it passes your standard, who gives a shit what it really is? That's what you just told me. That's what you just told
you're
me.
like, you're standing next to them, like speed checking their speed check.
Yeah.
You're like, nah, make it faster. Okay, walk me through this real quick. I got combined, then identifier.
That's it. Just hit combined. And then it should just start. That's
leave
it.
all these other options as is.
Yeah, don't touch my settings. You don't need. That's for like if you want to get advanced. I don't do any of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's running.
They would do like single thread test, and that shit would like always kind of screw them up because a lot of the speed tests are flat. I don't know the lore of this anymore, but they're like flash based, and almost every speed test was multi-thread, so the numbers were always going to show up as they should. But the single thread would show you like what was really going on there at times, and sometimes I would get the numbers I want, and then sometimes I wouldn't, and they didn't have answers for that. They just they would just be like, it works,
the whole
right?
Thing, yeah, the whole thing is kind of a nightmare having slow internet.
Especially
yeah, these
if
numbers,
you make videos.
These numbers are way different. I think this website's full of shit, dude.
It's cracking your dream. It's ruining your Inception
for
dream.
real. Download. Well, you can run. You can run tests back to back and get different numbers just based on where it's pinging from and all that. But generally, it's in the same area.
Yeah.
So this says download speed 339.
Yeah.
Upload 62.7.
Oof. So
how?
That's probably I don't know the science of this stuff anymore. I'm not the guy to explain it to you, but that's probably a more accurate representation of what your performance is really like.
I see.
So,
I wonder if the timing.
Go do a bunch of tests right now. Right, you don't really have to do it right now, but I meant like if you were to go do
a podcast, we're doing IT shit on a podcast.
That's what's up. That's how we learn. But if you were to go do a bunch of like the normal ones with the meter and all that shit, like what test did you do before? What did
speedtest.net.
Oh yeah, my favorite, quote unquote, my favorite.
They're lying to me.
Yeah, so they have like the meter, right? All that.
Yeah.
So if you do a bunch of meter ones, I bet you're always going to get 600. But you do a site like this, or you do a site where you can get similar options relative to this, I bet you're going to always get this, you know?
Yeah.
Those meter sites are kind of, unless your internet is egregious at the moment, they're kind of always going to make you feel good. So I always ignore those tests because I kind of want my stuff to be dope. And I'm like, I know the numbers say I'm dope, but I feel like crap, you know? So
yeah.
I'm like,
that's the point I was going to make, man. If internet was just good everywhere, you wouldn't even have to worry about going to those sites and checking it. You know what I mean? It's whenever it's slowing down and getting frustrating that you're like, is something wrong with my internet?
See, that's why I love the Google Fiber, yo, because like I ain't have those issues. I don't know enough again about internet science to be preaching this, but I do know for a lot of these scumbag companies like AT&T, like right, like look what I said before: 50 download, 5 up. You know, like I believe, you know, like I don't know how these things work, but like just based on historically using these things and poking them forever, right? These things seem to always work better when there's a better balance. So no matter what Google plan you get, it's usually the download and uploads are parallel, right? So their worst plan is usually 100 down, 100 up, which is actually worse than probably every company's going to give you, right? Even you have more download right now. Yet
Yeah.
I always feel better on that. Well, first off, I got 100 uploads, so I'm like, yeah, I'll take the swing. I'll take this swing. Because what are you watching that's like, what do you need that 100 megabits down isn't enough, right? But
Right.
that 100 upload, who the hell offers that, right? You apparently have 300, which is dope. But I mean, but I mean, like, most of the time, like, yeah, I've never cracked that except for when I lived at Bob's, you know. But then their next plan is 1 gig down, 1 gig up, and vice versa. And then their brand new plan is 2 gigs down, 2 gigs. I don't even know who the fuck these people are with the 2. You must be a damn server in your house if you got
Dude.
2 gigs down, 2 gigs.
Yeah. I mean, are you like streaming movies in 4K or something? Or I don't know.
Nah,
8K?
you're a studio. You're recording in 16K, and you also give it to other studios at 16K.
Right. Yeah.
Around the
It's
world, not even America, like around the world, you serve these videos.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it sounds future proof because who knows what the future holds, right? Like files are going to get bigger and quality of streaming is going to be will eventually get better, but it's going to require more data. So we might look
Yeah.
at that in like 10 years and be like, oh wow, that's how did people even do that? But that's just how technology goes, you know.
So no one probably needs most of those speeds, but I feel like just having that balance probably give most of us a better internet experience of
Yeah.
those parallel download uploads, you know. And also, you know, when we want to do stuff like stream, like we're not gonna feel shitty, you know, like or
Yeah.
upload videos, you know.
Yeah,
So-
because there's a lot of times I've wanted to stream and it's like you start doing it and the computer can't handle it. So I mean, a lot of that is on my computer at least, but it's like you don't even want to do it because the quality isn't there, you know.
Part of me wants to ask, what the hell are you trying to stream? Like with 300 thing, like what the hell are you trying to stream that you can't handle it, you know?
It's not that it can't handle the stream, it's that my computer couldn't handle. Like if I wanted to live stream making beats, like I thought about doing
Okay,
that.
so this is just the Apple struggle. So this is more an
This-
Apple issue.
Exactly,
Yes, this is like-
exactly. It's the 16 gig restriction for life on the RAM struggle. You know,
I don't even think it's the RAM, to be honest. I don't know enough either. I used to always complain video card this and that. I don't really know what the true issue is. I always did say part of it was most of us are on Team OBS, and that's open source. And you know, like, you know, I always say this, and sometimes people believe or not. And you know, maybe the world will shift at some point, right? But you know, all the dope, cool shit. Maybe you shouldn't be doing it, but or cutting edge, right? For most of our computer life was on Windows because you can just do craziness there, you know. Unless you just have programmer powers and you can just adapt things for you, you know, like
right.
I always
Which
had
is
one
not most
dude.
people.
I had one dude in college who was like Linux this, Linux that. I was like, dude, and he's telling me this before 2009, and I'm like, I don't got the knowledge for this shit that you do. So like, you can, when things don't work, you can make shit. You go, you know, like I'm probably just starting Ableton out there. I was like, I don't know if Ableton worked in Linux in 2008. You know what I mean? like I'm sure there's some way to make it. I'm sure it works now. It's like, you know, we're in 2021. That stuff's more common. But I'm like, in 2008, like a lot of the things I was like trying to be into, I was like, yeah, what am I gonna do on Linux? You know, like
Yeah, I had a friend that was like that too. He had like a partition hard drive and Linux was on part of it, and it's just like, the fuck you doing? Just like programming things because there wasn't anything else to do on it, you know.
yeah.
But some people are into that, man. I think
No, I get it if you're into it, but I mean, don't offer it to the mainstream folk. like it's a solution.
mainstream is not ready for that. Maybe never will be. Yeah, I think part of that bottleneck thing with the Macs, which maybe it's fixed with the newer ones, is another part of the bottleneck is the processor. Like I had so many. By the time I get done with like a track in Ableton, my CPU is just fucked. It's barely hanging on, and that's with freezing tracks and. I mean,
You're also
name
a
it, like-
nut, though. You told me some of your mastering processes and stuff.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. But I mean, you know, a $2,000 computer should be able to handle that.
Now
Should
you
be able to
sound
handle
like
anything.
me. Now you sound like me.
I'm just saying. I think the last time every time we get on here, actually, we shit on Apple or we have this conversation. But
It's an
if my
important
computer
one to
is the,
have, though. It's an important one to
I
have.
agree. It's a struggle, man. I hear it's a lot better with the M1 Max, but
Yeah, it
if I
shouldn't be
can,
an issue. I bet you're
it's,
gonna find a way to somehow make those things. You won't be the first dude who's like, this ain't enough.
it really isn't, dude. Like I want to be able to do. Okay, if my computer struggles by the time I get to the end of finishing a track, how could I also stream that process at the same time? There's just no way. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and that's why like I've tinkered around with that, but trying to live stream beats and on the regular, it's
What
just
what
not gonna
what
happen.
year is your Matt?
It's 2016.
Okay, so you got 2 years after me, and Tomas, I think it was maybe on 19 or 20.
Hmm.
Because even he like struggles hardcore like when he does the Ableton and like streams, and it's just like I see. So from my point of view, I'm on 2014, and I was like, yo, it must be. I was blamed it on the Nvidia thing. Like I can't really
Right.
use my video card to the full capacity, but he doesn't have that issue because I think he probably has an AMD card in there, and they didn't break up with each other, yet. Um,
Right. That was
but
pre-divorce.
but he still has it, and so OBS. The second thing I would come up with later on, all right, was like OBS on Windows came out with the NVIDIA, used the NVIDIA video cards, right?
Hmm.
And then last June, I found out all late, but I think last June, when Apple OBS, somebody added, it's not the same thing, but it uses the video card as its main like processing thing for OBS streaming. I think that kind of helped a lot of people when I showed it to them. It kind of saved a lot of because now the CPU part would stay pretty dead, you know.
Yeah, because a lot of these are like the CPU is doing everything.
Yeah, yeah. So that helped a lot. I think it was called. I think you would switch it somewhere and it would say hardware encoder. So, like on Windows, you can literally switch it to an NVIDIA codec, and that shit works dope.
Yeah.
But on the Apple, you can switch it to hardware encoding, and it uses whatever is in there.
Hmm.
And that really helps a lot. It doesn't. It ain't perfect because when I record on there, it records it streams fine, but it records videos in a like they don't play through really correct. Like I can't scrub for some reason.
Uh,
So the few times I've like done streams and like maybe like when I was at the studio, I don't know if you were at the beat battle where I was at the studio. I had to rip it from Twitch because just the VOD that it would create on my hard drive. I'm like, yo, I can't edit it. Even when I put it in like
wait a second.
DaVinci.
Dude, I think I know. Wait, maybe this is a different issue,
Yeah.
but I've tried doing like because my computer can't handle live streaming and all that shit.
Yeah.
I tried doing it with just screen capture, like recording the screen, and then later
You
on
mean
I would go
display
and put,
capture?
huh?
Display capture
Yeah,
in
I think that's
in
what it is. With
OBS?
no, just straight up Mac. Like there's some kind of built-in,
Oh.
and like that would record fine, but then I would take the video to like chop the very beginning and the very end out and just clean up, the bullshit on the
Yeah.
beginning and the end of the recording and put it in Premiere to do that. And the video file was acting weird as shit, just like that. Like it wouldn't let me scrub, but it was an MP4 file.
Mm.
And I did some research on it, and I don't know. I don't know if you have Handbrake or not, but it's a free
I
like
don't
video.
like that solution. Convert it to something else. That's
Well,
bullshit.
yeah,
That's bullshit. That's not
I
an
used
answer.
that. Yeah, the
It's
reason it
not-
was weird is because the screen capture recorded it in like a high frame rate, but it was like a weird frame rate. So when I put it in Premiere, Premiere was like, I don't understand this fucking frame rate, and would just like bug out. So I put it in there and I just converted it. And like it was an MP4 going in and MP4 going out, but it changed the frame rate to smooth it out with Handbrake, and then I was able to edit it in Premiere. So that might be a solution.
I'll check OBS and see, but I'm like, more than likely, I just have it on default stuff, and I'm like, because it sounds like what you're saying is probably on some like variable frame rate stuff versus putting it on a static frame rate, and I'm like, Oh, static. There we go.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah, but I'm like, but like, why, would I ever switch that on my own? Like, I don't know. Like, I'd have to check. But I mean, like, by the time, like, I didn't build this yet. But by the time I find that out, like, it was so bad. I just started doing like whatever streams, which was really just like, I guess I probably wasn't even stream, so it would probably just be a podcast, or it would just be the beat battles, which would start in August. But I would just do it from my 2009 desktop, and somehow that shit worked better just because I had a video card that functions appropriately.
Right, yeah, it makes a difference, man. It's so annoying I mean, I know, again, you and I are probably the biggest, like, complaining bitches about this stuff on the internet. I swear, like, every time we get together, this is what it is, because it's still a problem.
There's a few circle of producer friends that I'm like, that this happens with.
We just call each other up and complain about this shit, get it off our chest.
I will say this
though, man.
I will say that I do believe, like, I think I'm pretty sure you're just gonna wait and get whatever the maxed out M1 is. But I mean, even if you were to get this one, I feel like it would be enough. So I do believe this might be the first time in my I like to say active lifetime, because back when Apple mattered, it was for niche, but it wasn't even like I wasn't even doing anything crazy. like I didn't start making music till 2009. So back when Apple was doing the colorful desktops and all that shit, like I don't even know if those were dope or not, because I just knew they existed, you know, like, but they didn't play games, so I was like, who gives a shit? But but post like me actually like caring and paying attention, I'm like, to me these are the first computers that I'm like, all right, I think this is the first time that me, like, because I'm always like power first, I don't give a shit about anything else, and I think these are the first times where, like, oh, they might not just have something viable. I think they might have something that could lead or even change the game, you know.
Are you talking about the M1?
Yeah, just the whole concept and theory. Like, I think they might have a chance to be a leader, and even like be a revolutionizer. Will any of that happen? I don't know. But like, based on like just looking at results of comparisons, I almost feel like everything that we got shown from the current M1s that are out, I'm like, well, it's pretty good parallel relative to almost anything that's out right now. So I'm like, whatever comes out next probably gonna murder things. You know,
right? Yeah, the M2. Please come out with the M2.
I don't know what they're gonna call it. People bounce between M1 and M1X. I'm no longer in
let me get that M1.1.
I'm no longer in Desert Storm Abe with my night ISO.
It's starting to get rough in there with the sun going down.
I mean, I liked it, but it looks kind of silly. Like, what I used to do is put like my phone light here, and then it gives me this light, so it looks like I'm in darkness. But I also hate looking at the light. I'm like, I don't need this light in my face. I don't know how people do that shit. Yeah,
it's bright as fuck.
I hate that shit.
You hate everything, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's natural New Yorkness. The hate has to be directed somewhere, and you know, like it's just a natural hate. It's just a natural hate. It's like, I might not even actually hate you, but there's just probably 5% all New Yorkers have that it just needs to be shot somewhere, and like just consider it like love that we chose you. You know,
right? I got no problems with it, man. This is a safe space. Feel free to complain all you want. I do agree with you though on the this new like evolution of we can get off the Mac shit whenever, but like with the M1, that whole line, I feel like they're finally on the right path of just doing. I mean, you do everything else in house. You know what I mean? You cock block everybody else, so why not do the processor too? And from what I've seen, like it's crazy powerful just from stuff I've seen online. But I think it's funny that oh shit, like all the tech stuff, like RAM and processors, like I could give a shit less about all that stuff, and I only know about it because it becomes a problem and you're like, why is this thing slow? And then you start digging in and trying to figure it out, and next thing you know, you're just like an expert on all this shit. But if the thing worked flawlessly every time I turned it on and nothing ever got bogged down, I could really care less about any of that. You know what I mean?
No, I feel you.
Just like
that's the
spend
truth.
my time being productive.
That's the truth. Yo, I'm almost kind of sad because, like, I feel like every time Tomas come through is when we shitting on Apple. And it's
I swear to God, this guy's in the fucking Whataburger drive-thru right now.
Chiming in.
I'm
I'm at the HEB. I almost went to Whataburger last night, but they were an hour behind on their taquito menu, so I opted out for sleep.
I feel like a radio show right now. Tomas come on with that radio voice. Go back and hear what you sound like. Go back here and hear what you sound like later on, so you can hear like your radio voice.
It's because I'm plugged into my car and I'm trying to talk to you through.
No worries.
In my car.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to chime into something, and one thing that I didn't know until very recently, because I did a 6-month experience to where I was working with software development teams, and I think until then I used to always shit on the hardware, saying the hardware is not right, it's not working properly. Specific software, when it's coded and when it's written, is already outlining the amount of memory, the amount of processing that it's going to take for each task. So you could have the most powerful computer on the planet. If the software is designed only to use a certain amount of processing or memory at a time, when you trigger a task, that's all it's going to do. So although I agree with you, if you spend $2,000 to $4,000 on a computer, your computer should be able to handle it. We also don't realize that developers for companies like Ableton have certain rules that they're putting in place for their coding so that our operating system doesn't get out of control. And, you know, you will always hit some sort of threshold, regardless of how powerful your hardware is, because of the developers that are involved. And I, for example, am super disappointed in Ableton 11 because the amount of CPU hogging that it does, just running its internal shit is fucking ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
Abe's talking about, like, my computer will just lock up, and it's just, I can't even, like, shut Ableton down for a whole 5 minutes because it freezes up. And, like, if you're talking about streaming, yeah, right, dude, that's just not happening.
Yeah.
And I that was something that I had to go, like, work 6 months off in this job to really understand kind of how that worked. And so although it's really easy to sit there and, like, just be like, you know, the hardware, I paid for all the hardware and I paid for all the stuff, and, like, it should just work. It should just work like a charm. But, you know, the developers probably have an easier time doing stuff for OBS that's freeware, by the way. You know, they probably don't have a huge team that's sitting there working on the development of this stuff because it's all free software. You don't pay for any of it. So who knows where the funding for that comes from? Maybe Abe does. But you got to keep that in mind. And two, it's like if it's easier for them to, like, come up with some processes for the Windows system than it is for the Mac OS system, then, you know, there's probably only so much time they're putting in to, like, clean up performance issues and things like that. Because that's what it is. It's just the system doesn't handle it well. And at the end of the day, the Mac OS system is the foundation, and everything else gets written for it. Apple writes their software for everyone, and everyone has to test their software on Apple's platform. Mm-hmm. It's usually not the other way around. Like, Apple is not making a new operating system for Ableton. No, they're making it for the people. And then the people write stuff to work on Mac. And it's the same for Windows and all those other larger operating systems. But that's something that I didn't really know about until I did this, like, 6-month, like, internship where I was, like, working with software development teams. And that goes for all software, and no software is perfect. And sometimes newer software sucks more than old software because they had all these great ideas and they coded all this shit in, and it kind of came out half-assed, but they had a release date, they had a deadline, and you know what? We need to put it out. Let's just fucking put it out because people have been waiting and people have paid, and let's just put it out there. So, you know, there's a lot of things that could be to blame. Will an M1 resolve it? Maybe not if the developers find a way to, you know, maximize the resources in a unit for that. But that was something that I learned. So I just wanted to chime in and say that while you guys were on that topic, because though I agree, a really expensive computer should handle your shit smoothly. We think about all the third-party plugins we're using. Like, we're just stacking different layers of code that are designed to work and use different processes in different ways all on top of each other, and then having them all run at the same time. And so can it be chaotic for a computer system? Sure. You know, so I think all of that kind of comes into play as well, aside from just like, you know, the really expensive hardware and the 64 gigs of RAM if you want,
Right.
you know, or however crazy you want to get. Like, if the software tells you when you export, it's not going to use more than 8 gigs of RAM, you can put a whole terabyte of RAM in that sucker. It's only using 8 gigs of RAM because the software is designed to only use 8 gigs of RAM.
Interesting, man.
And yeah, and that's not you know, at that point that's not the hardware's problem. It's just the software. The instructions in the software are to do that. And I didn't know that because I always thought I could, whenever I bought my new computer, or my most recent one, which is a 2018, when I bought that, I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to export shit super fast. And I was exporting stuff and it was still taking, I was like, why is this still taking just as long?
Right.
I was like, isn't there like a dethrottle button? Isn't there some command that I can put in where I can just say, just use all of it? I have 32 gigs of RAM. Just use all 32 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be done in 2 seconds. But no, it's much more complicated than that, and I think it's just a matter of overall stability.
So does this mean we have to stop complaining about Macs now?
Fuck no.
You can complain all you want.
Is this like a staple whenever Abe and I get together? I don't know what we're going to talk
No, we're
about
gonna
now.
continue because
You
some
don't
of
know how
my
to
things will
I
be
mean,
solved.
I would say, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, if that's the case, okay, try it on a Windows computer. I'm sure maybe the Windows computer won't have problems with CPU, but you'll probably spend like 3 hours trying to route the fucking audio and download all the drivers.
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't
whole
seem
other
to
set
have
of
those
problems.
issues, but I mean, I know
And
a
then-
lot of the world. Like a lot of my friends seem to.
You are also Abraham, and you literally spend hours every day. Like, if, like, you know, people talk about their 10,000 hours. You have 20,000 hours on how do I get the biggest, baddest computer on the planet. So, you know, and at a budget. Because you're always like, oh, that's going to cost too much.
I was ashamed at how much I spent. You know, the most expensive part of my computer is the fucking hard drives, and I always look down because, yeah, there was no cost cutting, and in this current climate, there was no cost cutting I could do. But that's literally what kind of just smacked my price. Like the.
You know what? It's probably okay because
It is, but it still makes me feel sad
inside.
inside.
Everything else that you do lives on the hard drive, and it doesn't do you any good to have a bunch of RAM if you have really slow processing on your hard drive. They need to be both. If they're both not in a good spot, yeah, the computer's not going to handle it well. So,
Yo, real quick, I wanted to say some stuff on what you were saying. So, like, proof of concept was when OBS added hardware encoder support for the Mac, like what I talked about, you know? And now magically it could take advantage of the video cards on the Apple thing. And now magically OBS was kind of dope on my shitty computer, you know? Like, quote unquote shitty.
Sure as
Yeah.
hell wasn't dope on my new fancy computer, that's for sure. Then the other thing too is like different applications are coded differently for. They'll run differently on different operating systems as well. So like I've been running macOS Mojave because I don't want to update all the plugins.
Me and you, let's go, Mojave team.
I don't want to update all the, because like first off, that means I go from 32-bit to 64-bit. I have to literally reinstall all my shit in like the Waves plugins that I bought. Like you have to pay for the updates after a year. And so if I have to re-download the apps to get the version that works on a 64-bit, I literally have to pay for all the updates on that stuff now. So I am literally going to have to reinstall my entire system. But I'm at the point to where now that I've learned that, I'm like, maybe I do need to update to Catalina because maybe Ableton 11 was designed to work better on a 64-bit encrypted macOS system than it is on a 32. And I've just been, although I've been thinking that it's the best move to not update, maybe updating is the right move. So, you know, there's just lots of factors involved. And with the amount of code that's involved for all the shit that we use every day and all the stuff that we want to stack on top of each other, there's just an endless amount of different results that you can get, you know, combining how all that code interacts with each other. So
For sure.
Hey,
it'll never be perfect. No matter what, you can talk to any software developer because I've talked to plenty of them since then. And no matter what you do, there's always going to be room for improvement, and it'll never be perfect. Because if you spend the amount of time trying to make something that's absolutely 100% perfect, one, you'll never get there. Two, you'll never put anything out. So what do? They release and then they update, and the updates are all like, okay,
he sound
where
like
are
Abe
things?
right now. Put your shit out.
Put it out, and then you update the
This should
shit.
be easy.
Yeah. This should be easy as fuck. Build me a $5,000 computer that just works right off the bat. Why is that hard?
Yo, I wanted to say, I agree with Tomas. Even though I haven't had as many issues as you guys, I think Ableton 11, that shit's a failed experiment. I'm sorry. Like, that shit.
It's unfortunate, and I think the reason why it was rushed, you know, we were talking about release dates and stuff. Whenever they had people buying Ableton 11, they were like, it'll come out early 2021. And I was like, okay, January, right? That sounds early to me. I think they dropped it like late February. And what I think happened is they were having probably lots of issues with development, and it probably just got to a point where it was stable enough for them to be like, let's just put it out.
To drop it.
And then, because people have already paid for it, people are waiting for it, people will get excited, we'll put it out, and then as people start reporting crashes and stuff like that, we'll know which are the most important ones to address, and we'll address the really important ones. I haven't used comping yet, because I don't even know what would happen to my computer if I try to comp something.
I forced myself to get into that, and I definitely like it for real audio. I still kind of don't like it for MIDI, and that's nothing against them. That's just my habits. Like for MIDI, I still rather be in the other thing, the whatever it is, the lines, the scenes. But for audio, I finally got used to it, so I definitely do the comping for audio. But for MIDI, I'm a scene guy.
Are you
but,
running
you know,
32-bit Ableton 11, Abe?
There is no such thing.
Oh,
I don't even
okay.
think 10 has one. I think I don't even think 10 has one.
what he's asking is you're running it on the 32-bit designed like Mac OS, right? If you're on Mojave, that's 32.
Oh really?
Catalina's is 64-bit onward, yeah.
But it
That's why-
run 64-bit programs on Mojave?
So I think it can. I think you just run into that's why I'm saying like that's probably why I've been like now considering updating, because Catalina everything has to be 64-bit. So when you update, like I have to help customers reinstall their, well, not help them because it's kind of out of my scope, but when I update shit like your Microsoft Office, you have to re-download all of it because the 32-bit version you have will not run on Catalina because it's 64-bit only.
It's almost
so-
like a whole other platform.
Right. So whereas like a 32 could probably handle a 64-bit platform, it's probably better to have a 64-bit of both. The foundation might be more stable and might be able to handle something like that. Now, I obviously haven't tested it because I haven't updated my shit because I didn't want to have to reinstall anything. But I think that's the only thing that I haven't done, right, is just put it on the latest thing that'll work with Ableton 11, which I believe on their website they recommend Catalina. Like that's the one thing that I haven't done is put it on Catalina and then tried to stream. And that'll probably have to update all my other shit. I'll probably have to update Discord. I'll have to update OBS. You know, everything else will need to be reinstalled and updated because it may not be compatible. And I see that often. People update to Catalina and like they have to reinstall all of their shit.
Yeah.
Because they switch the way that the foundation's built, you know.
The reason I'm asking is because I've updated to Catalina and I'm running 64-bit Ableton 11, and the only issues I have are the same issues I had with 10, which is hitting the CPU usage. And I was super paranoid about updating everything because I've been hearing all these nightmare stories. And then I was kind of, I guess you could say, forced to update, but I made a track in 11 over at Noah's place. And then when he sent that shit to me, I was like, oh fuck, I gotta update to 11 now so I can open up this session and work on it. And everything, to my surprise, if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have updated just because hearing other people's issues. But to my surprise, it's worked smoothly.
I want to say real quick, you must have really wanted that track.
It's a banger, dude. Yeah. I think it's a really good track. But yeah, that's how bad I wanted that track that I went through this process of like anything else that I had that I was ready to release, like bounce masters and all that shit, just in case shit hit the fan.
Damn.
So I don't know, like, if that gives you any consolation to fucking updating your stuff.
You know, it doesn't surprise me because that's what the updates do, right? They're supposed to fix problems. It's just like, what problems are they fixing? Are they fixing performance stuff, or are they trying to throw in new cool features? Like, yeah, you can comp now, and we got this new synth, and we got all these new crazy Max for Live instruments, where there's little bouncy balls that bounce around and they play notes randomly. All this cool shit you can do to be more creative and randomize your stuff. It's like, yeah, let's have all these new features, and like, you know, hey, this is still hogging like 70% of the CPU just when we turn it the fuck on. And they were maybe like, well, we want to put our focus on just the new features.
Yeah,
you know, they could have.
Them.
Yeah, because they could have, in theory, like they could have just done like an Ableton 10.2, and then just made 10.2 have a couple of new features. That's what they did with 10.1, right? And then
you just hit on something that. So part of me, you know, some of this is bullshit what I'm about to say, but I felt like this only came out because of COVID, and maybe they needed a different revenue stream. Because I'm like, how did we only get to 10.1? Where's my 10.5 update? Normally they always do a 0.5 update, and some magical stuff is thrown in there, like comping maybe. And because this feels like a 0.5 update, and I'm like, I feel like I just paid for comping, and everything else is like cool, cute, you know, nice bonuses. Oh, here, and it comes with a bunch of bugs too, like we're talking about right now. But I feel
you
like
just tapped into a little conspiracy theory on Ableton.
But I don't think if you check their history, I don't think they've ever upgraded from 0.1.
Ready to go from your podcast. I listen to your podcast every day, and I know you got that X Files.
I wasn't gonna do it. I didn't want to, you know. What I'm
can you send that our way? Oh, there you go.
Can you hear it?
That's how much, dude. I'm your #1 fan. I listen.
Hey, dude, I appreciate that, man.
Every episode.
I appreciate that, big time.
I hope, you know what? I hope Hot Wheels gets a flat tire. I hope Professor X, you know, wheels himself off a cliff, because it's about damn time.
Tomas is loyal. Back when I actually did this more seriously, he used to hear almost all of them too. He's a loyal fan.
Yeah, dude.
I really enjoy hearing my friends have conversations, and I don't know your friend Eddie personally, but I feel like I know a lot about him now. I know he likes to work out naked, butt ass naked.
Yeah.
I know he's always farting and shit. He's always
you know how we roll, dude. You know, that's just life, you know.
I know he's got like a side project for Little Booty Hole coming soon.
That. You are the diehard fan.
All that shit. I've listened to every episode. You even cracked a joke that I was able to reference all the way to like the first episodes where you're talking about the get the Sennheiser 9s, not the 8s.
Oh, the
I was
GoPro.
able to reference that all the way back to the GoPro. I was like, yeah, I remember.
Holy shit, dude. That's awesome, man. I appreciate that big time.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I enjoy it.
Cool, man. Yeah, we feel like we're kind of like hitting a stride, figuring out how we want to do all that.
Yeah.
And, not to like totally take over from Abe's podcast, but someday we would like to start having guests on if COVID ever fucking goes away.
Oh, do it. My podcast don't exist. You should
Dude, this is a podcast. And earlier, you know what? You said some shit about I'm not a real streamer. Bitch, if you stream, you're a streamer.
The only thing I consistently stream is a beat battle. That's it.
You're still a streamer though, man. That's how I look at that shit. Like if you write,
if I stream anything else, I go to 0 viewers. But when I do the beat battle, we have like people watching. You know what I mean?
Oh, people! You've already built your audience on the beat battles.
I need like a beat battle every day for like. That's the only way to keep it going. The train going.
Speaking of which, man, shout out for you. You're going up on 44 now. 44 beat battles, dude. Like
some shit. Yeah,
you should be proud of that shit.
That's crazy. I gotta have a huge shout out to. So part of it is Tomas's fault because he couldn't make the Kenny Beats battle, right? So I started, we started our own, me, you, and Mike, who Mike's MIA a lot, but he comes through. And then Willis for like, because I was like ready to kill this shit so many times, but Willis would be like, do it. Like, are we doing it? Are we doing it? I was like, God damn, son. Like he bout it, he got the passion.
You got to be careful whenever you start a new endeavor, man, because like you just never know where it's gonna go.
He won't let it happen. And now I feel like the new passionate people, even though they're not always in their right frame of mind, are the San Antonians, So
San Antonians,
yeah, Dan and all these other people and Rubik's. Zertronic, other people I've never even met. Some of these people that are starting to do it, you know. So
yeah, that's cool, man. That's like building a little community, you know.
yeah,
That's tight.
I was like,
I think my favorite. I think it all kind of like clicked and all came together whenever Willis had to go back to LA, and like my friend Rocky, who goes by Rock Sampson, he did a couple of the beat battles. They posted a picture of the two of them together, and they linked up together because of that beat battle. Now, funny enough, I was in LA one time, and I was supposed to meet up with Willis, and he canceled on me last minute because we were supposed to meet up and go to my friend Rocky's house. So he was kind of supposed to meet him one day, and he canceled last minute and couldn't meet up, and so I went to Rocky's house by myself. But the beat battle in the end got them talking, and they met up all on their own. I was not a part of any of that for them to link up. And like that alone was dope. Like, that's awesome, dude. You just brought two people together from two different states.
That's like a poor man's Kenny Beats right there. He tells that story every day on Discord, like about his Discord and unifying all these people, and I'm like, look, I'm doing it too on a handshake level.
That story you just told was like it was destiny, you know what I mean? It was meant to be.
That's what's up.
So that's cool, man. Yeah, damn, I was gonna say something else about the beat, but dude, like 95% of the beats I've made during quarantine is from the fucking beat battle. I was thinking about this shit earlier today, right after I sent that one in.
Yeah, they're bangers.
Dude, it goes hand in hand with like building a community and like doing shit and you never know where it's gonna go. Like the beat battle has made me start producing like I'm in the beat battle when I'm just by myself. Like I'll straight up give myself an hour.
That's the original intent. Even though I know the hour thing is kind of dead right now, if you do it, it's on you.
Fuck that, dude.
Yeah,
it's an hour.
No, if you do it, shout out to you. I want you. If y'all want to keep the spirit, keep doing it. But what I mean is, I posted early because people, people just can't all meet up at the same time for me to post
I get it,
man.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I got to the HEB and I want to go in here and. But do you guys mind if I chime in on audio and I'll just have my headphones on, and then if something's of interest, I'll unmute?
Yeah, you good. You good.
Totally cool, man.
Yeah. It would be funny if you just kept showing video and now we get the HEB cam.
I mean, I would have to like.
Yeah, no, I'm just focus on your HEB. HEB is a personal experience. Don't worry.
I'd have to like mount it to like my HEB card and shit. Like,
don't worry about it.
I don't have the production equipment.
Don't worry about it. You good. You good.
Man, so okay, regarding the hour, I like how you're loose about it. I just like I like seeing personally what I can do within the hour.
You didn't mute yet, Tomas, because we hearing those scratches.
My bad.
I think you're good, dude. So I like that challenge of an hour, so I'll stick to that hour. Or at least as best as I can, if it's like almost there and it's an hour 15, like fuck it, what's the big deal? But I try to stick to that hour, and then like today, the one I sent you, I kept thinking about the beat, and I'm like, I'm gonna start doing this too. Like, okay, this is what I did within an hour, send it in, and then go back, and then I'll start building the track out for something that I want to release later on, and enjoy that later on.
Flesh out.
Yeah, and I started applying that to just like any other productions, like whenever I want. Well, I don't know if I go that fucking far. Everything's got to be done within an hour, or it's just not worth it. But no, like I'll spend an hour. I'll literally, dude, I'll put a timer on my phone for an hour, start making a track, and I mean this is something it's always been there, but like I don't ever think I really noticed it. If shit isn't clicking within an hour, it's probably trash. You know what I mean? So like, put that bitch on the hard drive, check it out later, maybe with a different perspective. But I've started like timing myself for an hour, and I'm always surprised like how many better tracks I make when I like put that pressure on myself. You know what I mean? Like it might not be polished and everything within the hour, but like.
You get the groundwork.
I don't know. I can't explain that shit. Like it's got like a soul to it more than like if I was just like, oh, whatever. I got months to finish this shit.
Because you alive in that moment, That's why.
For real. There is like a different pressure there of just like, what can I get done within the hour? And if somebody wants to spend forever on it, like I don't even know how long, but like some of that shit, I'm like, holy fuck, this is like a Grammy award winning type of shit right here. Like, how the fuck did you? And then I start realizing like, okay, like we're getting a little stretchy on the hour, but again, like I don't care. I'm gonna continue doing that for myself and for that challenge. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
Like,
what it's all
I
about, the
enjoy
personal
that.
journey. Like there's so many things I wanted to comment there on.
Do it.
In regards to, I mean, right? So the original beat battle was like the 1 hour thing, like I was saying, and so what I've done personally, I don't really follow the hour for our beat battle, but for a personal commitment, I went back to doing Kenny Beats beat battles because that's the most strictest hardcore 1 hour, even though it's usually like an hour 15, but like even uploading it counts as the hour, otherwise it's all automated, so there's no mercy. It's not gonna, you can't
That's
talk to the
crazy,
AI.
dude.
Can you take my SoundCloud link? Like, it don't work like that,
That means
Yeah,
those
that
people
shit, that shit takes like 15 minutes
He hates
to
this
upload.
shit.
Too.
Yeah.
It takes
Dude,
like
so
15 minutes just to even get the link in there, bro. It's such a pain in the ass. It's really like a 40-minute challenge.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like you gotta.
Tomas did
assuming-
it in its infancy, and so like he tries things every now and then, and so Audius, right? You know that because right, you know about Audius. So he tried Audius 2 weeks ago, and that was an experiment, and it was a failed one. The beat battle died that day because I guess he was like,
Wait,
right now
Kenny-
we're averaging 300 submissions, and we only got 100 that day because the way Audius works, it just couldn't handle his upload. So like when Tomas was kind of doing it. It was during the experimentation phase of like, oh shit, we got a lot of people doing this. How can we handle this? So there would be days where he would do it, or there was days where I would do it, and I just couldn't submit because stuff. And that was almost part of the game. And it does feel kind of shitty, but it's also kind of like, yo, it's some. Not only is this some hardcore life or death 1 hour shit, like you might be everything. It's almost real life. You might do everything right, and it still doesn't matter.
In the end, it's still a crapshoot,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's real life. That's
you got
Kenny Beats
fucking,
beat battle. It's called real life. It's real.
You got Spectrum Wi-Fi,
Exactly.
you know. Yeah,
and then he's an interesting host too, and because he kind of lets I don't even speak badly. I'm just observation, but like if the chat is like kind of pressuring him, he'll be like, you know what? I'm done. He just can't. It stresses him out. It makes him feel not good, and he can't have. So if things are going really bad with the servers and all that, then he's just kind of like, you know what? It's canceled, and we'll just start again next week. So like, there's all kinds of variables in the Kenny Beats beat. So that's my 1 hour a week, and let me tell you, they've except for maybe 1 week, they've all sucked. And I'm like, man, I need some different ideas for these 1 hours because like I gotten spoiled by the lackadaisicalness the way I approach hours.
Right.
They've been trash.
Which I do like that as well, though. Like, don't get me wrong. I like that you're not like crazy strict about it. It's kind of on everybody else to sort of restrict themselves or whatever. But man, I can't imagine that shit. Like, you get like, when does the timer start? Like, he sends a link out for the sample, and the timer starts when it goes live.
The 2 p.m. the beat battle starts on Mondays. No, 2 p.m. his stream starts, and then at some point in those first 5 to 10 minutes, he'll post a link, and depending on what his day is like, he'll also discuss the time there. And now, this is brand new, but now since I started doing them where you download it, it also has a time, which is nice because I used to have like a converter. I used to put like LA time and all this shit. I had to convert it now, but now it just has a countdown like 1 hour, 15, 14, 45 minutes. So now you don't even got to like be thinking. You can literally just put the timer right there.
Gotcha. Damn, that's just, you got to make there, like, at least I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I'll spend 20 minutes on something, I'm talking about like,
for sure,
the hour beat battle, 30 minutes sometimes, and just like fucking garbage. And I'm just, there's no way in hell I'm submitting this, yeah, exactly. I'll either gonna give up. I have the thought of giving up, and then I have the thought of like, let me just copy and paste this one little shit that sounds kind of decent, and then sort of like remix what I did and start something fresh there. And to my surprise, that works out more often than I thought it would, or that I think it would. But with the Kenny Beats thing, it's like, no, dude, you're fucked by that point. Like, if you download the sample, the shit starts, your first idea has to develop into a banger. I'm assuming you got to have some kind of at least half-ass mix and master on that because you're competing with so many people.
Yeah, there's some dope homies
That's like
at the top of
that.
the game. It's pretty crazy what they be doing
I'm
in that
sure,
hour.
dude. Yeah, within that like 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
Because you got the upload after that.
it changes sometimes. I mean, like I said, you don't. I say hour, that's probably the average, but like some weeks he's like, look, man, we gotta do it quick, 30 minutes. That's what he
He's like, I gotta go. I got shit I gotta do.
Yeah. It's like I got a session at 5. Like, yo, we gotta go.
I mean, that sounds like fun and it's a challenge, but I'm glad that your shit is not that strict.
And to be fair, he has to though, cause yo, when he first started, that shit kept growing every week. He probably got like there was one week where he had 900 people. So averaging 300
Right.
is probably a nice tame thing for him, cause dude, there was probably like a good month to 2 where it was like 500 to 900 people in that month. Where I was
Imagine 900 submissions every week, dude.
that's insane.
Fuck
It wouldn't
that.
be like how we do it now. I too would have some type of system. Because
Yeah,
you can't go through all that shit. You can't go
It's
through
also
900
like-
beats.
all kinds of other commitment too, because you're in there like just the voting alone is like a whole other hour, and you scan through 300 tracks to maybe pick a top 5 that you might like. I make it through about 50, and I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm done listening to this shit.
Yeah, you have 30
you
minutes
hear
to
the-
vote.
So some of those guys are like traditional like hip hop producers, so you like that sample that they use, you'll just hear it over and over and over every song that you go through. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
all these guys chopped up the exact same sample. We're
Yep,
gonna listen to the same thing over and over and over.
dude. I'm trying to think of the name. There was a Splice beat battle that I joined. It's like the only other fucking beat battle that I've done. And I forget who hosted this shit. Murda Beats. And they had like this, I forget the website. I'm sure I could find it somewhere, but it's like a sample flip beat challenge like website that they hosted on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Discord actually. They use Discord in tandem with that. And like you downloaded stems from there and then you remix it and then you upload it and then like the voting becomes available like a week later. And it was the same thing, dude. I swear it's like you're just going from track, like by the time you get down to like 50, you could play the intro and you already know what the rest of the fucking beat sounds like. You know, like so many people sound the same.
It is kind of
just-
crazy. But yo,
Yeah.
you hear some crazy beats too. Like I'm like, who the fuck submitted this shit on Kenny B?
What is this shit?
Because you know, there's all kinds of varying degrees. He's very popular to a different generation of kids, and some of those people like, yo, I started making beats because of you, like last week, and now I'm in a beat battle. You know, like so you get all kinds of skill level. It's
Yeah.
not just the elite on there. You know.
Yeah. I try not to think about that shit, man. How many producers are out there? I'll get depressed. Just be like,
It
There's thousands
does
of-
too. The whole AIDS thing, sometimes people making it, but it's also like, you know, you gotta focus. Like for me, I have to focus more on like, well, what I want to do, because right now, like, and you know, going back to like what you were saying about the hour, it's like, yo, like I feel like a standard hip hop thing. Maybe not like Kanye West, who's doing production, bigger ones, or any of those people, any of the people who have 400 people on they beat, you know, like Travis Scott and all those people. But
Yeah.
like, if you just hear a guy who like, I just make beats, right, and I sell them, whatever, like those guys, almost all of them will see like, that shit ain't grooving in 10 minutes. Next, you know, like,
Yeah.
like they just go on. I mean,
Shit.
they
30
may or may
minutes.
not even save it because it's like next, because they making hits. So like, I don't even remember where I was fully going, but some of what I was gonna say is like, it ends to mean production, you know what I mean? And some of that could go to my old man rant, like, you know, you maybe relying on samples to 100th of a T, you know, like where it's all that. But like the goal is like, yo, make hot beats. And I'm like, I've realized over the years, you know, I just happen to be around beat culture and all that, but I'm like, I think some of the stuff I like, even though it makes me either sound wonky or not as good, I'm like, is me trying to figure out how to do it myself, you know, maybe playing with my guitar,
Yeah.
even if it won't sound as good as the guitar sample, you know, like,
That's huge, dude.
yeah.
Honestly, like put the blinders on. It's good to know what's out there and shit, but like also put the blinders on and find your own sound and then get good at that
yeah.
sound. Man, that just makes this is kind of, I mean, it's related to production, but it's a little side tangent about making my own sample packs lately, like making my own
You
sounds.
talked about that. Yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah, I just started doing it. Well, mainly the fucking modular. It's like, holy shit, this thing is an endless supply of of samples, basically. But I started doing that, and then
STATX drum kit 1. We're gonna just
No,
like
I'm saying-
decap. We're gonna have like the STATX drum kits.
no drums, dude. There's so many drums out there already. Like, there's fucking tons of like amazing drums already. But yeah, that made me think of something else. I actually have like an Ableton session that's for like kick drum design, and another one that's like
Damn.
snare design.
You got a
Um,
sound designer here. Then let's go.
Well, I started focusing on that more like the last year or so. So I started like just recording little samples here and there and little sounds, making. It wasn't even a sound pack. I didn't think about that till later. It was just like folders of sounds, which I guess is a fucking sound pack. But I was doing that, and then I saw a video of someone talking about one of the best ways to find your own sound is to use your own sound packs, your own samples, like make your own sounds.
Yeah.
Because no one else is gonna sound like that. You know, it like you said, like decap drums or whoever. There's so many.
I
other
resurrected
people.
my drum kit the other day. I haven't like from my Mac, like, cause I built this computer. I've been using this one since whenever I built it, but it didn't have a lot of the stuff. So I was like, let me transfer some of these sessions from my Mac. And I was like, oh man, here's my. I won't say the names, but to not incriminate me, just in case I get famous. But 100% illegal drum kit, because I did it like kits with plural, because I did it like how we did it in the whole, like, even though I was not part of the MPC movement, you know, so when I was listening to it, so I would just hear a kick from an artist I like, and it's in a moment where there's no other music. I'm like, that's my kick now. That's my kick.
That's my shit.
That's my snare.
Give me my fucking kick.
That's a very
Yeah.
New York mentality. Like, to this day, Duke always says that. I'm gonna take that. Like if you've seen Duke in the chat, he's like, oh, I like that. I'm gonna take that.
That's my shit now.
Yeah.
Just
So-
change it from whatever dot wave to my shit dot wave.
So I have a few like drum kits that are like their sample folders are huge because there's songs in there, and even though on the sample you kind of narrow it to the kick, like the whole song is in the.
That's your sample is like a 3.5 minute track. Just
Yeah,
for a kick.
yeah, and I just took the snare from here or a kick from there.
Dude, just bounce that fucking kick out of there.
You probably right, man, but I don't know. I made that so long ago. That's how old some of these kits are.
Every instance of the kick in a track that you use is like a 3.5 minute song.
Hell yeah, in the background, in terms of the project folder setup, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, this shit's like 30 gigs. Man, yeah. Also on like drum samples, man, I don't know anyone that's like making original drums. It's a lot of it's just like people layering other drums from other kits and just
I've
bouncing
heard
that shit
about
out.
this, and I'm like, well, shit, then I should totally make a boosh pack and just like,
Yeah,
just
fuck
put
it, you
crap
should,
on
dude.
it. I like to think some people like, I mean, I don't know the origin of all 9 decap drums, but I mean, it seemed
I'm
like
not
he
saying
used
that.
hardware gear. No, for sure, but it seems like he has hard. I feel like anybody who has analog gear, some of those things are made via whatever stuff they use, you know, in those
Yeah.
hardware worlds, you know. But
Yeah. No, I was just saying not to apply that to every single person, but sometimes I'm like,
it's a thing, yeah.
I fucking swear I've heard this snare somewhere else before. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but the reverb on this one is like a millisecond less, or more, whatever. You know?
Sitting there analyzing the waveform. Where'd you get this from? But yeah, man, I think that whole going back to the whole making your own sound thing, that's just a
Yeah.
little nugget to throw on top of that. Like, yeah, if that's like the path you're on, dude, you should definitely focus on that
Yeah, like, but
instead of
and
trying to sound like someone else. You know?
and it wasn't even like definitely almost in like sometimes to a detriment in life. I definitely have if I relative to my scope of the world, like, if a lot of people are doing A, I definitely want to do B. I play fighting games the same way, for better or worse. Probably live life a sort to some degree, and for better or worse like that.
Gotcha. Like
yeah.
you're just naturally anti whatever the movement is at the time.
Some type of thing where I need therapy for, where like I guess I need to be unique for some reason relative to how I see my narrative, and yeah, so I end up going contrarian to things, you know. Like,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily.
no, but I feel like sometimes you just being different to be different, and versus like, yo, you could just use this dope snare. You could just use
You're like, no, I've got to sample this fucking frying pan, dude.
yeah, you see. I wish I would do more of that. That's what I feel like I don't do enough of my own Foley, because lately what I do is I throw in like ocean water in almost everything I make.
Your mic cut out. What did
Lately
you?
lately in almost everything I make I throw in ocean water
Oh,
in the background. But I'm like, it would be nice to probably, I'm like, I've had a Zoom for like, who knows, since before I started making music. I probably had a Zoom just because me and Tomas worked in his lab and they would let us borrow Zooms, you know.
mhm.
So like, I took one of them Zooms to Puerto Rico. That was funny. But anyway, that's another story. I was like,
I got one of them bitches too, and every time I see it, I'm like, fuck, man, I just need to like take a day, not
yeah.
even a whole day, dude. Just like let me just go out for a couple hours and like rustle around in some dirt and some grass and like
I
find
could
some
literally
water.
have my backyard in every beat, you know, like, but I'm messing up. I'm messing up.
Or find
shit.
yourself at some like industrial factory or something and just collect a bunch of crazy industrial sounds.
That
It
would
sounds
be
like you in
sick.
industrial HEB right now.
I know.
That's where I am.
I'll-
I'm right under the frozen stuff, so you can hear that AC blasting. Hit
Look
record
at that.
right now.
White
quick.
noise right there. Real white
Hit
noise.
record. Hit record.
We are recording. It's a podcast.
sample that. Let me get that.
We'll
I
isolate
fine.
it.
I do have a question for Steven while
Uh-oh.
he's here,
Mm.
which is in regards. So like I noticed that when you do the challenges, your like bass, you have specific. And I think we all kind of have this, but is your bass sound is that Ableton or is that? I keep thinking you're using modular hardware because I know you bought a synth. So is that all rigged into your system?
So
Can you tell us your secret? Or
no, I can't. Next question. So yeah,
when are
Abe
you releasing your Hare Krishna album?
as soon as I make it. So yeah, Abe actually asked me that not too long ago, and yeah, I have all the modular and the fucking Moog and everything like patched into a patch bay, and it's easy like switching a fucking 1/4-inch cable, and I could just record whatever straight into Ableton. But for all the beat challenges so far, it's okay. So that bass is from a default preset on Serum. That's all that shit is. And well, I have like a crazy I actually call it the STATX gnarly bass effects chain that I drop after that bitch. And depending on what I'm going
Maybe
for,
that's your thing. Maybe you sell chains instead of samples.
call me one.
Sounds pretty square wavy, like
There's
good old fashioned square wave.
Yeah, it's either saw or square. The reason I don't use the hardware is because I would spend 3 fucking hours messing around with that shit and never submit a beat. It's just easy for me to like plops. Actually, I have Serum set up in like my default Ableton template. So like, yeah, I need that fucking hour, dude. I don't have time to mess with it. I'll go off on some other shit with the modular and like end up in some weird place and get distracted. But so yeah, the bass, a lot of that bass, and it's funny you say that because like I've been trying to get away from that shit lately because I'm like I'm putting a live set together of like quarantine beats, and I'm like, God damn, dude, I gotta get off that bass. Dude. That shit's just like
That or you gonna rock the house whenever you play live.
yeah, hopefully. That's a whole other issue I got with Ableton, stemming shit out from a master, but that's another conversation. Like I would say 99% of the time that bass is straight up default Serum. Like I don't do shit with Serum. It's default to like a saw wave. That track that I made over at Noah's, he didn't have Serum, he had Omnisphere. And he was like I think he said something about that shit later because like it's just like my go-to. You know, I'm like, dude, I got 30 fucking minutes. Let's try to make something happen. And he was telling me about Omnisphere and like all the shit that it does, and I'm like, cool. I popped that shit in, saw wave default, and fucking made like a banger bass out of it, you know. And it's a bunch of stock. Damn, I don't know. My shit might crash if I open up Ableton, but
Damn.
the shit that I put after it, that's where the magic is, dude. And I got some of that from like Mr. Bill tutorials. I sent you some of that shit, Boosh.
Yeah. I'll link the one you sent me.
Yeah, it's all basically, except for Valhalla Vintage Reverb, it's all stock Ableton shits. I have like a gate on there first, which I rarely use, but a really fucking cool thing you can do is like have like your bass line, put a gate after that bitch, and then sidechain the gate to your kick and snare, so the bass hits with your kick and snare. That's a cool little trick. After that, it's like saturation, a fucking like a distortion, Ableton distortion. I don't use all these things. Kind of pick and choose and shit. An Ableton amp default setting. Put that shit on dual and it gives you a little wideness. You know, just like it's like a bunch of distortion and shit after that. Basically is what that is. And like you stack up these effects after a simple fucking wave. If it's like a saw wave, even a sine, dude, it's all your basic shapes. And then like you run it through this chain that just makes that shit gnarly. And it almost gives it like a mechanical feel because you're pushing this wave through so much stuff that whenever the wave stops coming through, you almost get this like this sound that's like, it's almost like a guitar coming through an amp, and then when you stop playing, the shit's just trying to breathe. It's like, you know what I mean? It does like weird artifact type of stuff because it's running through this chain. Yeah, so there's like a limiter after that, you know, like Ableton default limiter shit just to make sure it doesn't go.
And this is all just the bass track, right?
Yeah, this is just the bass track.
I think we found your CPU problems, bud. I think we found
that's part of it. Actually, a lot of it is actually Serum.
I was actually going to say, if that's not it, Serum's got to be it. It's just too much square and sawtooth wave.
Hey, have you updated Serum lately, Steve? Because he puts out a lot of updates. Almost any time. Not that I monitor it, but almost any time I have to re-download Serum, I'm like, oh, there was like 40 new ones since I last updated.
Yeah, I don't know if I got the latest, but I try to keep it up to date. It's really when you start messing around with unison in Serum and start adding like
7 voices or something.
Yeah. When you start adding more voices is one of the biggest things where it's just like, oh shit. I think they even suggest like don't go like, I think 7. Steve Duda actually says that 7 voices is like the optimal voice count when you're doing that shit with Serum. And you start going above that, and shit starts going downhill real quick. Like sometimes I'm producing things, and I'm just like, "Did I put a bit crusher on this shit? Like, why the fuck does it sound like that?" You know?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, time to bounce this out. And that's another thing that's kind of been big for me lately. A lot of it is from CPU usage, but just like committing some shit to audio. You know, like messing around with that and just bouncing that shit to audio. Turn off the other track and all the crazy shit that's taking up your CPU, and then go from there, and just like don't even trip about the perfection side of it. You know, I'd like to think that I've gotten in the last year like pretty far away from like the OCD side of like this automation thing has to be exact. You know, like I don't know if you guys are like that, but there was definitely a point in time where
there's been times, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like this shit's got to end. Like the one that I submitted the other day, or not the other day, it was today. The one that I submitted, there's so much sloppy shit in that, and like I'm really starting to love that.
You always say it's sloppy, and then I hear it, and I'm like, damn.
No, it's not like
I don't hear it until the stream, so I haven't heard it yet. But
yeah. Well, you it's not necessarily sonically sloppy, but if you were to see the automation for shit that I do now versus the automation for stuff I was doing like a year or a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
The year and a half ago shit would be like perfect on the grid. You know, whereas like if I'm automating something in Serum now and it's like whatever the number is, it's like it ends up being like I just click and drag that bitch up, and if it ends on like 1.25, that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like before, and this is definitely some OCD shit, it would have to be like on like a round number type of thing. You know what I mean? And like this sample has to be chopped here with what are the little things when you're warping, like the warp markers. It's got to be on the grid type of shit. And I've been really enjoying lately, like just doing some shit that doesn't sound perfect and not giving a fuck about it. Like, okay, cool. Who gives a shit if that doesn't loop perfectly? Like
having fun, man.
You know what I mean?
Forgotten part of making music sometimes.
And that's another thing not to give you too much credit here, but that's another thing with the hour. You don't have time within an hour or so to like sit there and be a perfectionist if you want to like make something decent, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll give you a little bit of credit, but not all of it.
Well, I was gonna say too, like since you mentioned the beat battle, I think one of the things, like it's the original reason was, you know, to get Tomas and Mike in on it, right, on these things since they couldn't make it for the Kenny Beats time. But I think what it kind of became in terms of just having like a weekly thing was like, you know, a lot of us, music's a big part of our life, but sometimes we forget to make stuff that week, you know. So at the very least, you took some time every week, right? You know, originally an hour, but at least for 1 hour every week, if that's all you did, you at least made something that week, and you know, then you do whatever else you do in your life.
Yeah.
So that I think is the best part, you know.
Yeah, agreed. Dude, I have 44 tracks or something that I didn't have before. I missed a couple of them, you know what I mean? But every time I drop a new track when I bounce some shit, I just see the list of beats and I'm like, damn, all
It's
these
kind
are
of
from
crazy.
Boosh beat battles, you know what I mean?
I was at
So it's tight.
I was at Ralph's house, Tomas, a few months ago, and I was like, well, here, I'm gonna just play all the beat battles, and I was like, God damn, it's still playing. I was like, because it wasn't just the ones I did. I used to do Plastician and the Kenny Beats ones. I was like, I can't believe I made all this stuff. Some of this is cool, some of this isn't. You know, I was like,
That's the thing too, is like trying to get that list of what's cool to be bigger
yeah,
than not, you know.
that I haven't begun yet. So like you always talk about expansion of these beats and songerizing them after. Like you were talking about the outlines
Did you just
initially.
say songerizing?
Yeah, man, that's knowledge.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Knowledge is given right there. Knowledge was just given right there.
I think I just got a new wrinkle in my brain.
Neural pathway is what it's called. You know, that's what just opened up.
A new synapse has formed.
but like, I kind of just like, I just kind of right now I just move on and I'm sure there's probably a bunch of stuff I made throughout the years like that I should do that for, and I just don't. I just move on. And maybe if it's really hot, if I'm feeling it, like I'll probably hear it for the next couple of days, but that's about it right now. The only thing that, and I put it out under my other alias, but I think I was jamming. It wasn't for a beat battle, but I was just jamming, and I was like, oh, I think this is a song. And I think of late, that was the only thing I released because it just kind of compelled me, like, hey, man, this seems like a song. And then I kind of songerized it right there on the spot, and that was it, you know?
Nice.
So.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reoccurring thing where, at least for me, where, you know, you make a bunch of shit and then like you really like it and you don't release it, and it just becomes a certain point where it's like, fuck, I should have released this because I'm like not feeling it as much as I was at the time. And I'm talking like, you know, maybe 6 months later or something like that. And I'm sure I'm overthinking all of that shit, but
I think so too, because everybody says that, and I don't feel that way anymore. But I also just I never made a final version, you know, like whether it's the mix or whatever, you know. By the way, you're also entering like pixel hell, so I mean, it is as long as we can hear you.
Shit. I look like a fucking yeah.
As long as we can hear you, it's whatever.
Dude,
but
it's not my internet. I'm glad we cleared that up at the beginning of the show.
I had to like open up the app to see what you were talking about, and you look super pixelated.
It's pretty bad. I'm watching myself from 5 minutes ago right now.
It's the GoPro 8. That's what it is. It's the GoPro
Right.
8.
Should have used the 9, dude.
Should have used the 9.
That was it.
Better hit
That
up
was
E.
Right. Never upgrade, dude. Never goes right.
I wrote that up, yo, like on some serious shit, like yo, like maybe it's not optimum right now for our lives, but we probably need creator computers where we don't update anything, and things probably would be fine for us for a very long time.
Wait. I mean, you'd have to just buy a supercomputer, though.
No, I mean like yo, I 100 this right. This is what if bullshit, but I 100% believe if I never upgraded to Mojave, I might not have never built this computer, because I would have probably been rendering videos nowhere near as fast as I can now, but probably faster than I was on Mojave. I've been like, yeah,
we can take you back, bro. We can take you back. We'll have to erase everything. But I know
that's the problem. Yeah, I didn't. Some of those things, Yo,
Just reinstall your shit. It'll be fine.
No, see, so that's the thing. So it's funny you say that. So, like, I got some programs in there, and this goes into that 10 to 20,000 hours you were talking about. I got one program in there. It's a drum kit program. That's all I'll say. To also not incriminate me, but like it's very
I'm calling
old.
the cops right now.
Yeah, it's very old program, right? It was so old that when I got that Mac and I started installing it, it was like the DMG just wouldn't work, right? Because you need new versions because new OSs and blah blah blah, right?
Right.
But somehow, I don't know how I did this. I somehow paralleled wherever the Windows root folders were for this program, and then I found, and Macs use completely different names for their little registries and all that, I paralleled it all one to one, where the samples belong. The easiest one is where the VST files belong. But other than that, like the important program files, I paralleled it all onto my Mac. And I'm like, wow, I just manually installed this drum program and its components. And I'm like, I was thinking about that, like every time I think about what he just said about deleting it, I was like, I don't really need that program, but I'm like, part of me doesn't want to let it go, and I'm like, I don't know how I would replicate that, and I don't know if I have the time, or like, I just don't know if I have the patience right now to do that again. I don't know how I did that.
Man, there's nothing worse than trying to like resurrect some old shit like that. I recently did that with Reason because I had some like, this tracks must have been like 15 years old or something, man.
Yeah.
How's HEB doing, dude?
It's pretty good. You hear my squeaky wheel? I was
Yeah,
I
we do.
unmiked because I wanted to say something real quickly. You were
Go
talking.
for it.
I didn't want to interrupt, but
You're good.
what I was gonna ask Gabe is when the last time he used that drum machine was.
Oh, like never. But I mean, it's just
let it go, bro.
There you
Let it
go.
go.
Right.
I never saw Frozen. I never saw
nothing.
Frozen. I'm
You
sorry.
got nothing in your walls. I'm pretty sure your closet probably has like 3 pieces of clothing. So you can let go of everything except, even let go of your 8-inch speakers. You're like, they're too big. Let me get smaller. I don't want to hear bass at all. I want to mix without
that
bass.
shit. I don't need that.
Exactly. So it sounds like you don't need this stupid drum machine, and then we can get you exporting podcasts again.
But at this point, I already built a computer, so I'm never going back because it's never going to be as responsive as this one is.
You say that now.
It goes back to that whole commit thing, like commit the audio. Just delete that shit, dude.
I'll
going
say
back.
real quick on Ableton 11.8, because we're talking about Flash and stuff. Even on this new computer, the problem I have right now, it's very weird. Sometimes I just open up the Ableton in the session, and my keyboard just don't work. I can't hit play, or none of that. But you know what I do? I open up the session again without even closing Ableton. Just open it up again. It works.
And it works.
So it's
Do you guys get my one Ableton, my consistent weird Ableton thing is like I open Ableton and I get the little Apple spinning beach ball thing, and it does it for like a minute. You can't do shit until
is that
it's
like
done.
the VST load portion, right?
Is that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah. Like
maybe that's because of my template or whatever, but it's just like
that's
just
part
chilling.
of it too.
Might as well launch the shit and then walk off and then come back and then I can use it.
I did it stopped working like after a certain amount of updates, so maybe I had to update again. But this was on my Apple. In the config file in Ableton, you can kind of like adjust things, and you can kind of turn off the VST scan, and that made it boot up like that.
Interesting.
So yeah, that might be something to look into.
So it's like automatically scanning for new
Usually,
VSTs every time I
yeah.
open it.
Yeah, like you can see it. One, like when you see this gray square, it even tells you it on the bottom left. But then even when you enter the session, there's a bottom left thing right there, where it's kind of like frozen for a second because it's doing like one last thing,
Gotcha.
And then it's good again,
I knew it did that like anytime I install something new, or a couple of times I've had to like move all my stuff from like an older external hard drive to a newer one. And the first time you launch it, it's got to like scan that new location, which takes forever. But I didn't know it was scanning existing VSTs every time I launch it.
Yeah, it's always like a little, and it's not, at least especially now, but it's not really like too long for me ever. But like, yeah, it's like a kind of brief like stutter, while it does it real quick, you know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Look it up, and you can find like the config options and what you can tell it to do.
No,
when it
dude,
turns on.
I'm gonna start using Bitwig. I'm tired
Or
of this
that.
shit.
Yeah, be like Mike. Use Bitwig.
Does he actually? I've never. That's like one of the only DAWs I don't think I've ever tried.
Mike bounces back and forth. He has both. Like so, depending
Bitwig's
on
like
who's
kind of
updated at the time.
modular or something, isn't it?
I think it took. I think you know what might be interesting to say with that. I think it took a modular approach to Ableton. That's probably what it took to the DAW itself. So like things can kind of be. That's why like a track can crash instead of a session crashing. You know, the idea,
crazy
stuff like that. But I've never used it, so I don't know too much.
I gotcha.
But
I will say this about Ableton, which is a terrible good feature to have, but it is a good feature. Every time it has crashed on me, and you go to recover it, 100% of the time it's recovered everything like back to the second before it crashed.
Oh wow.
At least for me. I don't know about for you guys. I don't think I've ever lost a single Ableton session due to a crash.
I have.
And I'm always like, every time that shit crashes, and when I first it just smoothed out at some point with 11, but at first it was like real wonky.
Week 1, I was on the Mac for Ableton 11, and week 1 all crashes. Saved nothing. It would open up, hey, do you want to restore? It would open up the session with nothing. I was like, what the
That's the fucking worst, dude.
It never did that for 10 ever. 10 was kind of perfect, like what you were saying for me. So,
yeah. I'm not just like every time Ableton, like I was saying, like it did it a bunch at the beginning of the install of 11. It hasn't happened for a minute, but like every time, and I would recover it, and I'm like, damn, this recovery is fucking dope, man. It saves it every time, and I'm like so happy about that. And it's like, why am I happy about this? Like, I'm not even thinking about the fact that it's crashing so much, but the recovery is on point, or at least has been for me. Like, I've saved a handful of sessions, I'll say, with that.
We gotta get on that Control S life. like
yeah,
just every second.
Yeah, dude, that one that I submitted to you today, I didn't save that bitch until after I'd already sent you the MP3.
Wow, bravery.
Like, oh, fuck, dude.
Bravery.
Yeah. So when that happens, I'm like, oh my god, it's a fucking miracle that. Yeah.
I at the very least, and you don't always remember this, but I at the very least like to make a project folder like once I got something I like, because I feel like once I like do the initial first save, that's when I feel like the recoveries always come through. So even if I forget the following Control S's, I feel like once it has a place that isn't the default temporary, it seems to do really well. I feel like if I'm in temporary though, sometimes it's a crapshoot. Sometimes it'll be fine, and sometimes like you messed up. You know.
I know what you're saying. Usually the thought of saving hits me when I'm playing something back, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this I can make something out of this, and then like generally, that's when the moment comes. Like, yeah, not only can I probably make something out of this, but I should probably save this shit. I've noticed that I guess whenever you save, or what is the other one where you like collect all and save?
Yeah.
Probably, I think it does something with like this. I don't know, dude. I feel like every time I do that shit, it starts performing a little better as far as like CPU usage and all that. I'm sure it does something with like saving the samples to the folder and accessing
if you tell it to save everything, then it does save whatever audio samples you have in there to that folder. Yeah. I mean, that depending, I don't know. I don't know if that would make it quicker, but let's say you do have like 500 hard drives, so maybe when you save it into the session of the original folder, maybe that hard drive's quicker than other hard drive over there, you know?
Probably. Yeah.
So, I don't know. One thought I had also earlier when we was talking about writing, you was talking about like forgetting stuff. Let me phrase that. When you was talking about like, all right, like doing stuff in an hour, like if it's not banging in like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the time you said, you know, like maybe moving on. And it's funny, I haven't finished it yet, but I've been watching here and there St. Vincent's masterclass. And it's just funny, right? Like how everybody has their own strats. And I think her strat is like, just keep writing, just keep writing, just keep writing. It's just like pretty much like tunnel vision, you know, like hammerhead, just hammerhead. And almost kind of isolating the two. So like keep writing, and then later on, like Like, don't judge in the moment, and then maybe when you're a different person later on or a different day, then maybe judge then and like plot pick from that stuff. But
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's not a bad idea. Another thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that is like there might just be like one little thing that I like about it, and I'll take that and I'll bounce that shit as like just a sample. You know what I mean? That's actually kind of how the
That's
whole
the smart stuff. How the pack started.
yeah, that's kind of how that started because I was just like, here's a little melody of something or like some pattern or whatever. The rest of the beat is fucking trash, but like there's something about this that like I'm trying to make this thing work because I like this part. Let me just save that part, you know what I mean, in this folder and then like maybe use that for something else later on. That might even just be like a mind trick that I'm playing on myself, like so that I don't feel like the whole thing was a complete waste of time. Like, at least I got this fucking sample out of here, you know? Like, but dude, there's so many just like I'm sure we're all the same way. There's so many sessions on my hard drive that are never going to see the light of day just because it just wasn't hitting, you know,
I
for
thought
whatever
at
reason.
some point everything would be released, but like I think I don't know, like maybe everybody has like their strengths, and I feel like for me, like I'm definitely easy starter. I can always make something out of nothing. I'm not necessarily a closer though. You know, I don't finish stuff, you know. And you know, there's other people out there who can like always finish stuff, you know, for like producing. And so yeah, I just have like we all probably do have endless sessions that just whether they have one riff in there or maybe even a complete there, but I didn't at the time. I guess I wasn't into the whole like I mean like it's not done till I mixed, so it's just quote unquote not mixed, you know. So it's just like some things are done, and like I would never bounce things back then. Now I try to bounce everything that is somewhat finished because then I can like hear it, and sometimes that's all it needed to be, you know. It's just something to be bounced so I can hear it, you know?
Yeah. If it's got that slap to it, you know what I mean? Like I'll bounce the shit and then I'll send it to my phone as well. I have just like a folder of tracks on my phone that I'll just like listen to try to either form into albums or like where would I put this track in a live set type of thing. Damn, you said something earlier and I was like, I could finish anything even if it like is kind of trash. Like I can make something out of it, but what I would consider like a keeper is like, yeah, I could finish this thing, but it's like not my sound. Or I guess I'm always in the background on some level thinking like I want this to fit into like to be cohesive with other tracks so that I can put this onto an album, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So I could make something that
you got a vision, and not everything matches syncs with the
yeah,
vision.
like honestly, even with all these beat battles, I'm like a lot of these shits I'm forming into albums, you know, that I'll go back and like tweak later. But
you probably taking advantage of the beat battle more than most with that type of thought process.
yeah, like if I submit it to you, I'm probably like semi okay with like putting it on Spotify at some point. Some of them just need a lot more work than others. But damn, what the fuck was I gonna say with that shit?
I was talking about finishing and closing and.
Oh, yeah. The only little point was like, I might even make something that's kind of tight, but it doesn't fit with like this certain sound that I'm trying to go for. And unfortunately, like it'll just never see the light of day because it doesn't fit with like what I'm trying to do with STATX. You know, I've thought about doing like some other artist name type of things too, but I don't know. I can't even finish the regular shit I need to do. But
I feel like it just needs to be like the way I make music. It's just like this is me, and like I just try to make a little bit of everything, and I try not to, you know, isolate my sound. Just to go back a little bit, we were talking about St. Vincent's writing strategy.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happened with all of us, right? When we did all these beat battles, and it's like you didn't hear it for a while, and then you went back and listened to it months later, and you're like, oh, that was kind of cool. I didn't really like it in the moment, but there's that one little bit that I can use and build something out of. I do like those moments. I think those are fun. Also, like making a song and just working on one song till it's finished can be absolutely draining and exhausting. And it can make you really hate a song by the time it's all set.
Absolutely, dude.
So I do like that strategy of just write and keep writing and keep writing, because honestly, that's the most fun about it. Now, we got to be honest, someone like St. Vincent probably has an A&R team, and they probably have someone who does the mixing for her, so it's probably not for them, I think, right? It's more on one person.
You talking about the final product, yo, but the way she talked about writing and like the writing process, yo, like, you know, this might be unrealistic for most of us. I might have the best chance at it right now, right, given the way I'm living right now. But like, she was like, when it's time for her to write, and you know, she's doing albums, right? She's in a different genre, but she's like, she'll just carve out a big block of time, and probably a lot of people and things are gonna get chunked down. It's like, this is my writing week, or whatever it is, month or something, you know, and like. That's it, and that's kind of the main thing. She has really no other goals but like that, and things are going to get written, and I'm sure some of that frustration is probably coming out, like you were saying, just beating things to a drum till there's something there. One of my favorite tips he had, because we all have this, right? Oh, oh, he's back. Let me switch to the three-way. But one of my favorite tips was he was talking about taking showers on purpose. And you know how we come up with dope stuff in the shower or whatever free-flowing thing maybe we do and we think of it? I was like, you know what? I've come up with mad music in the shower, but I never thought like, yo, I'm stuck. Let me go take a shower on purpose so I could think of the ending to this song.
Yeah.
That sounds exhausting, man, because that's like one of the first things I want to do with my day is like, I woke up, I'm going to go take a fucking shower.
Yeah, no, so she was talking about extra showers. She's like, look, sometimes I take 2 or 3 showers because I need that juice. I need that extra. I need that extra. Damn. And I never thought of that, taking a shower on purpose because I want to compose music. Usually I was thinking like, man, why I think of stuff in the shower? Never like, I need some new shit. Let me go take a shower. I never thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, whatever works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been like had writer's block on that level. I don't know, man. It's kind of like there's so many techniques out there to just get a sound. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll go for a run and stuff, you know.
That's another flow, yeah. That's another flow state, yeah.
I will say I'll give when I have moments like that, when ideas come to me when I'm not in front of a computer trying to make music, is always like when I'm at work. And like I'll just get like this melody in my head or like a riff or something like that. And like it's weird because I don't think I've ever taken any of those.
So you need to work more, STATX. You need to work more.
Right. No, I need to work less so I can actually make fucking music. But all of those I'll call myself and leave a voicemail like this shit, like I can hum it and I know what it sounds like in my head, even though it's like a terrible fucking out-of-tune hum, but like I can hear, if I heard it back I would know like the whole beat, you know. And I don't think I've ever taken any of those ideas, like gone back and listened to those voicemails and then gone into Ableton and like made those things a reality. I don't know why that is.
I only did that, this is before I even did Ableton. So when I first started on guitar, and you know, I'm trying to get in touch with this part of myself, but I rarely allow myself to do it. But this is, I think, one of the plateaus, like in how I make stuff. Before I even did Ableton stuff, where I started on guitar, and I would always make stuff from my head first, and then I would hum, sing stuff, and then I would figure that out on my guitar. And whatever I come up with in my head is way different than whatever I come up with when I'm like, hey, let me be on this keyboard and blah 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 and stuff, you know. And I feel like I do way more complicated relative to me from my head, you know, versus because I don't think I necessarily have the chops or tech yet from my hands, like to be actively doing it. But you know, when you're in your head, you could just come up with the most insane stuff.
Yeah,
you just don't know maybe how to manifest it like that ASAP, you know. Like,
I've never I think it would be fun to have this thing. I don't know if you guys have heard of this shit, but I think the only way to translate that accurately that I've seen is like it's like a microphone, but it goes to MIDI. Have y'all seen that shit?
Yeah,
I've seen that. What's that famous producer who's got a YouTube channel, Andrew Chang or something?
That's where I saw it. That's where I saw it.
What's his last name though? It's Andrew Huang or Huang. I can't remember his last name.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I'll catch his videos because I mean if you're a producer, that guy, the fucking algorithm is gonna send you that guy's videos.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think I've only seen that video.
Andrew
of his-
Wong. Andrew Wong is
Is that his
name.
name?
I think
I've
it's
listened
Wong.
to his music. It is not good.
I've never-
You know, hey, to each his own, dude.
I've
But
never
you're
heard
right,
his
you know,
music.
he's technically he's made it and we haven't, right? So I
Right,
guess
yeah.
power to it.
Yeah, it's not something that like it's not on my Spotify playlist. I'll put it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
But the dude, as far as YouTube and all that, he's killing it. He makes amazing videos and tutorials. I'll give him that. But like, yeah, his music's not for me either. But it's all very well produced, obviously. So he has a video on that thing, that microphone thing.
He does, yeah.
I've seen
Okay.
commercials of it. I haven't actually watched the full video, but I'll get. You know,
Oh.
you were talking about the ads that you get. I get ads of him like, oh, I'm gonna make a hi hat sound. I'm gonna make a kick, and then you can also like sing things into synthesizers and stuff.
Like melodies and stuff. Yeah,
Right,
that's what comes to mind when I think about like, because I'm on the same page as you, Abe. Anytime I try to translate something like in the moment, like this is what I hear in my head, it never, almost never comes out like in real life the way that I'm hearing it in my head. But
And I think the real answer for that is because we just haven't done it enough for it to be natural or quick enough, you know? So
Yeah.
it almost ends up deterring from the creative in the moment process, you know?
yeah. Plus, like I'm not a like classically trained pianist either. Like I'm fucking around with like shitty bass noises, you know what I mean, and like resampling those and just making like fucked up sounds, trying to make beats out of fucked up sounds, and
Yeah.
that's generally my process. Is
Like
not
I'm still too busy launching square waves and sawtooth.
right. I'm trying to max out this CPU. I don't have time to learn piano.
I know what you mean. You know, I went to school for music. I have a degree in music. I took multiple semesters of like ear training and identifying chords when you hear them and playing them back and writing the notation out and all that stuff. And like, I still hear stuff in my head, and when I go to lay it down, it sounds different. But I kind of like that. I kind of embrace it, that it's like, hey, that's kind of different than what I was going for, because sometimes in the moment, you know, I find that it's better to just let whatever direction you end up going in, just going with that flow than just like going against it because you heard this thing in your head and that's what you're making. I feel like you're much more likely to run into like a roadblock that way.
Yeah, trying to force something versus like
Yeah.
like you're saying, if you're making something and like this is what I hear, but what's coming out is like a different chord structure or some shit like that. But then you roll with it and like you still make a dope melody over that thing. And next thing you know, you're on a different path, but you're still making good music versus sitting there like with the fucking 4-bar loop going over and over, trying to figure out how to perfect this thing, you know? That's,
Yeah.
Why am I not hearing the progression I heard in my head, or why am I not hearing the, you know? So I think you're much more likely to play, and I think that's because when we think of melodies and we think of things, I think the stuff that we think in our brain is usually influenced by what we're listening to. This is just maybe me talking, but like if I hear stuff in my head, sometimes it's related to the type of music I've been listening to. And I'm like, oh, cool, that kind of vibes. Like, let me try and make a beat that sounds like that. And it never sounds like what I heard in my head, but it always sounds different. And I definitely like the beat better when I go with the flow than when I sit there and I'm like, this doesn't sound anything like I wanted it to sound.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, I didn't like the beat, not because it's not a good beat, or not because it's not a good beat, but because it's not what I was trying to make in that moment. And who knows? Like, I think you could maybe overlook a lot of really good music that way.
True that.
You know, maybe it does actually suck too. Also, you know, that can also happen. You can also do that and be like, man, all of this just fucking sucked. All of this is trash.
That's never happened to me. Ever.
Casey and I were talking about that yesterday. We were having dinner with Abe's all roommate, Bob, and like Bob was like grilling up some food, and we were talking about the beat challenge, and he's like, hey man, do you ever finish those 1 hour beat challenges and then you're done and you go to submit it, and the only thing you can think to yourself when you submit that track is like, God, this fucking sucks. I'm like, dude, that's like Oh, that's been a lot.
I would
lot
say
of
I would say if that's not happening to you, there's something wrong.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, it's an hour. How are you supposed to make something you're super stoked about in an hour? I mean, like,
know.
not saying it can happen or it hasn't happened. There's stuff I've made in an hour where I'm like, wow, I did that in an hour? I impressed myself. That's pretty cool.
For sure.
Most
Plus,
of the time, it's the other way around. Oh, shit. Abe's getting dinner. What's for dinner, Abe?
fucking taquitos, dude.
It was all right. So I
Taquitos,
forgot.
bro.
So I
Tell 'em to
muted
go at
OBS,
midnight.
but I didn't mute the Discord. I forgot. I got two separate mutes.
Oops.
What's
Damn,
for dinner? I think it's just fries and shrimp today. That's it.
That's it? Just fries and shrimp?
Yeah,
Sounds like you're eating like a king, bro.
it is. It's a going away king because I'm gonna be. The family's going to the east.
Oh, yeah, you got the place to yourself, huh?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be eating like someone who semi doesn't know how to cook.
Yeah, you're going to be eating Little Caesars hot and ready for the next week.
Hey man, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's the dream. The problem is I don't want to pay for it every day. That's
On the thing you said about like submitting beats, one of my reoccurring thoughts with that is like whenever the stream starts, I'm always like, damn, I haven't listened to my beat since I submitted it, and I completely fucking forgot what it sounded like. I don't know if that happens to you guys or not, but I like, work on other things or whatever, and just don't go back and listen to it.
it's
it's
because
always
you
like, oh,
do
yeah.
it maybe like a day or so before, like you did
That's
it
true.
today. So you have a day
Right.
time span. I think I often intend to do it early, and I'm always like on the same day, like, oh, all right, I better do something because there's a stream in like
I
4
always will
hours.
judge my beat on, like, I hope the mix sounds good on Twitch. And then sometimes I'll wait for, like, that bit where it's, like, supposed to hit kind of hard.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a swing and a miss where I'm like, oh, that sounds
Dude.
kind of weak on Twitch.
I feel you.
Yeah. And then
I'm
other
always-
times I'm like, oh, yeah, that's in the pocket. That's nice and thick.
That
But
Twitch
not all.
mix.
The Twitch mix, man.
The Twitch mix.
That's where
man.
the voting's coming from, right? It doesn't matter, like,
Yeah.
they're not listening to the MP3, they're listening to the stream. So
Yeah.
You're like, I promise this shit sounds good when I hear it, the WAV file or whatever. But yeah, there's always like a little bit of like
More
quality.
FLAC files, dog. More.
I'm gonna submit a FLAC, dude.
Someone used to in the day. I just don't. Off my head, I don't remember who. Somebody does. Somebody.
Yeah.
I used that in my bar last week. I said, "Call me FLAC because I'm lawless. I'm lossless." Sorry.
Nice.
That whole the bars in the beat battle and whatever I wrote last week. I don't know if you heard my beat last week, Tomas, but I rapped on it. But yeah, half of that was about the lore of the beat battle. Cause I think right after I say "Call me FLAC" because I'm lossless, I say I said something to the degree of like starting out with 1 hour, but now we lawless because there's no more 1 hour, So
It's the wild,
It's
wild
still
west out here.
yeah, man.
Yep.
Cause I know some of these dudes on the last day, man. Like, they just I don't know what they be doing. Cause it do seem like they do it quick, and then they like, I'm working on it. I'm like, I felt like they did 90% of the beat. Like maybe whenever I gave them the sample, and I don't know. Then they spent like 80 hours, quote unquote, mixing it. But they're probably doing nothing. You know what I mean? But they're just kind of like, oh, maybe this needs to go up, down, or maybe I need to EQ something that no one's ever gonna hear.
Maybe some people are just that good, and you're being a hater, dude.
Oh, both.
Like the last one, I keep referencing this shit, but the last
Tomas,
one.
you gotta mute the whatever's going on right now.
There we go. Oh,
Sorry, guys. Sorry, was I
okay.
rustling? I thought I muted.
Yeah.
felt like
My bad.
Santa Claus was coming to town.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, trying to get down the chimney. You just got a lot of weight, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, what was I gonna say, dude? This last one that I submitted. That's what I was saying. Like, I keep referencing this last one, but like, I sent you that shit, and then I went back immediately and just like kept working on it. And like 30 minutes later, I was like, damn, I wish I could submit this version. But like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm
you
just like,
could. Mark,
no, I'm like,
you know, shout out
that
Mark.
goes
Mark
against the
will
whole thing.
real quick. Mark will probably hear this, so I have to shout him out. Yeah, Mark will every now and then he'll like use this version, and Willis too. Use this version. You know, like
actually properly mixed later on. It's
not. It's
crazy.
usually not even that like that much later on. It's usually like 5-10 minutes later. It's usually what happens with both of them. So
yeah. Like I had added like a whole other
you're
couple of
becoming
sections to
Pixel
that
Man,
phone.
by the way. Again,
Hey, dude, I can't help your internet. Okay. I don't know what to do.
I mean, as long as I can hear you, I don't care. But I mean, it just does get crazy.
Fucking Apple bullshit, man.
No, that's a
Goddamn
very
RAM.
interesting thing that's happening on there. Because I mean, usually I would credit this to bandwidth, but your audio doesn't seem to ever deter. So I don't know what exactly that is. What's going on
dude.
with you?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's like they're on different wavelengths. Whatever your video's coming from and your audio, because your audio doesn't ever seem to turn any worse when you turn worse. Like you'll get horrific and you're just talking. I'm like, they're not. It's like they're not synced at all somehow. You know, like they're on different.
Like I don't know about on your end, but I see two windows.
Yeah, because since I'm using the OBS tech, like I can't use the. There might be a way. I haven't done any deep dive investigating, but I guess it can only grab the camera for one operation. And so since I'm using the camera for OBS, I can't actually send you the camera as well. So you have to get what I'm giving to Twitch, you know?
Gotcha. I don't know if I'm following all that, but I see myself twice.
Basically, I
on the
need a
screen.
Yeah. So one of them is one where you only see the window where you only see you is what you're giving me. The window where you see me and you is what I'm recording.
Gotcha.
There's a
one of them's crispy as fuck, so I'm just gonna look at that one.
there you go. That's probably what
yeah.
what you're giving me. You know what I mean?
You know, all I can say is Steve Jobs. You know,
R.I.P. Never forget. Purple
R.I.P.
iPad or iPhone that just came out.
He probably could have done a little better, but R.I.P. and shout out to Comcast or whoever you're using.
Nah, Spectrum, yo, man.
Spectrum,
If only
my
I
bad.
kind of wish it was an RIP. I could say that. I look forward to the day I could say that. But realistically, there's never gonna be the day. The day that was more realistic is like, oh yes, bigger company bought Spectrum, the same way they bought Time Warner, etc., and nothing's gonna change. You know,
Oh, dude, just CEO bonuses. That's all it's gonna change.
yeah. I do wish internet wasn't in control of. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but like just like old companies, the same way tech is always evolving like this because it's newer companies and they got different philosophies. I believe, you know, I know legislation and all this plays a part in terms of internet infrastructure, because you got to build physical structures, you know, in the world in America. But I do believe if it wasn't, you know, these 100-year-old companies, 50-year-old companies, these companies that move at a snail's pace, I do believe that they would have figured out some type of way. This, you know, the same way they, you know, Facebook just went from like nothing to like worldwide power, and Google, Apple, etc. You know, you know, I guess Apple had a ramp. You know, it took but once they figured it out, then they figured it out. You know, But yeah, I feel like if broadband was owned by like tech people and not 100-year-old stalemate people, like we'd be going somewhere. Yeah, that's the term. Boomers, is that the term?
Fucking boomers, man. They don't even know how to use the internet. How are they gonna run an internet company? Who knows? But yeah, it could be better. It could be worse.
Yeah.
But it could be better.
Yo, just give me a JPEG at this point. Just give me a JPEG of you.
Just put a screenshot of hold on, let me text you a picture of let me text you a selfie. Yeah, that's looking like some 1995 fucking.
I'm using the Real Player. Remember that? You ever use Real Player?
It's been a long time since I've even heard that name.
So it is time travel right now. I'm talking to you via Real Player.
A little bit of lag, no big deal.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy shit's happening right now. I don't really know.
It was coming and going. Like I saw the quality come back a second ago, and then
It did.
anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll
You
just
know
turn
what?
on
We did have a
pull
power
a
outage.
boosh.
Yeah.
I'll pull the boosh and turn all my lights off.
Uh-oh, do it. Or you said Tomas? Oh, he
Oh
dipped.
shit. Uh-oh.
But
You said you had a power outage?
they did, like in the daytime, like 1 p.m. today. So who knows? Maybe it really is my internet. But
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
you good?
What up?
Shout out to the beeps in
Oh
the
shit,
background.
Steve's all like back to normal and stuff.
Oh yeah,
For now.
look at that. It's you brought him back.
I brought him back just
You
by
brought him
chiming in.
back. Yeah. He was like, hello, and thus came the good internet. Just kidding. But
Oh,
yo,
weird.
so far we have done none of the topics, so that's good.
We've done what?
None of the topics. There's only 2
Oh.
topics, but I mean,
Okay, what? I totally forgot that you had topics. Wow, what a tangent.
that was no. Well, I mean, like, well, when it was just one-on-one, I was like, well, I'm gonna throw them out because I felt like
Yeah.
it would be cool to do it with some of these people here, but I'll still wait till they show up and then maybe be hardcore on those days. Cause
Cool.
yeah, I mean, you know what it is. I've done podcasts. You do a podcast, so you already trained enough that you don't need anything. You know, you can just talk. You know, at a
Yeah.
certain point, you don't need anything. You know.
Right.
Yeah, it's a blank canvas, you know.
For real.
Maybe just for 1 week, not all of them, but that might be an interesting beat battle. Like, just make something, you know. Just to see how different people's stuff really is without a weird ass sample steering them in a direction, you know.
Like you're just saying like a open format beat battle, like just submit a beat.
It'll probably never happen, but yeah, that could be something, for just one day, you know.
Yeah.
Like just to see what people do without the limitation, you know.
My shit will sound the fucking same. Like that's the thing about the beat battle is like I don't know, maybe it's just the way I approach it is I don't know, like I have my techniques and my starting points and all that kind of thing and like a certain sound that I'm generally trying to aim for. So like I would make something very similar probably except more polished. You know, if it was like an open format thing, but like yeah. What were the topics you were talking about?
There was 2. It was the origin story, just how people got into music. But I feel like it would have been cool to get that from like Mark and Willis too. So I'll hold up on that. That's why I was saying like, well, I know we addressed that like probably on podcast 1, and then we even addressed IS on the one where we did it with me, you, and Jimmy. You know, so it's like, and so I was like, I know you, and you're the only one who showed up. So it's like,
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a waste. You know, like,
Right. Just like repeat the same story.
yeah. And then the other one, which I find interesting, because it's always something I feel like I dabble with. I don't know if dabble's the word, but like debate in my head every now and then. It was like what keeps y'all going in music? That might be interesting. What keeps y'all doing it? You know.
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
You think that's it? You think that's really
No, it's there's got to be a term for it, but fuck, I don't know what the word would be, but it would probably sound. It would have some. It'd be derived from something psycho, or psychosis, or something. And I'll give you a little story. I feel like maybe I've told this story before, but
You haven't told it through a real player, so dude, this is exclusive.
Shit,
Yes.
first time real player. Shout out 1995. It was okay. I'm just like trying to in my mind. How do I make this quick? And then I end up dragging it out. But back in the day, I had to move. That was a choice to move, but I had to make a choice. The choice was to move from Texas to Washington D.C. Live with my mom, who also moved up there, and had to get rid of all my shit. It was like whatever I could fit in a car is what I could take with me. And back then it was just it was just drums was what I did. Just a drummer, had a drum set, loved drums. It's what I wanted to do with my life. And It was like I could take a drum set and like 3 other things, or I could take like clothing and like other shit, you know, because drums take up a lot of space. So the drums had to go because it was that, you know, like I'm repeating my fucking self, but like because of that move and I had to fit whatever I could into that car, the drums, like I sold it to like a family friend and moved up there, had nothing to make music with, like stopped doing music. And once we got kind of settled in, I started getting the itch. I was like thinking about music again. And I went to like a local guitar center up there. And I was like, my idea was like, I'll just get a guitar and learn guitar instead of drums because we were living in an apartment and drums in an apartment, like you're a dickhead, you know, if you play drums in an apartment. And so I was like, guitar is easier to move around. I could just learn that. Went to the guitar center with like 100% was going to walk out there with a guitar. And the guy started talking to me, and I ended up telling him about the story, the drums, whatever. So here I am getting a guitar, and this dude was just a fucking salesman, basically. But he talked me into getting. He was like, you know, you could buy silencing pads for all this shit, and we're having a fucking fantastic sale on drums right now. You know, the whole nine. And dude, it's so weird. I walked out of there with a drum set with the fucking silencing pads, so I didn't have to be the asshole in the apartment.
Do they really work like that?
It did. It honestly
wow.
did work. Yeah, fantastically. And so that whole thing, when that shit happened, something like, it's like an epiphany or like something clicked. And I was like, it was a weird thing. Like it's not even like I'm trying to escape music, but like I'm never going to be able to, like, this shit's always going to be like coming back to me one way or another. You know, that was like a real life physical example of like, I can't get away from music, you know. But
I think I came to that conclusion this year too, by the way. Like for me.
Huh?
I came to that conclusion this year too for me.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of like embraced it from that point. Was like almost like this was meant to be sort of thing. And maybe it isn't always drums, but music and me, like there's something there, you know what I mean? And I just kind of like started focusing on that. And yeah, I mean, that's happened in other ways probably over the years, and it's gone from being in a band as a drummer to like electronic musician, and it's kind of morphed like that. But the overall arching theme, if you will, is like music is never going to go away. Like this is an integral part of me as a human being. Yeah, so what keeps me going is knowing that like if I sold all my shit, some weird thing would happen where like I would open my door and there'd be a package there and it would be like a fucking laptop with Ableton in it, you know,
you
like
have to
haunting
buy it
me.
all again in some different capacity.
I know, it's like, yeah, it's like a horror movie that I'll never be able to escape from. So I just embrace
Friday
it.
the 18th. Friday.
Yeah, and there's that, and then another level of that is like the being at work and humming things, you know, or like these ideas are like constantly coming to me nonstop.
You gotta get them out.
And you gotta get them out, and like that, I don't know how to explain that shit in terms of like the psychosis or whatever side of it, but it's not like it drives me crazy, but there's just this constant flow of ideas, you know. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it does. Do you have drums right now? I mean,
I have 3 drum sets.
Oh wow.
Speaking of psychos,
would you ever add it to your music at some point?
I really would like to. I have an idea for like a whole project like that, where it's what I'm doing now, but with live drums, and to do it properly.
That was the next question. Yeah.
To do it properly, I'd have to go to like a legit studio, have everything properly mic'd up, and mixing a live drum kit is not the same as mixing electronic music, or live instruments, period, really. But yeah, the reason I have 3 drum sets is one of them is that original drum set that I sold to that family friend.
Wow.
When I moved back, I bought it back from them.
Damn.
And like I've had that thing since I have that because of it. It sounds like shit, dude. But I have it because of like the nostalgia of it.
I feel that. I feel
I had
that.
that thing since like middle school or high school. So there's that, and then I have a really nice Roland electronic kit, which I bought when I had an apartment before I got this house. Because again, I didn't want to be that asshole. I wanted to be able to record it like on 8 separate tracks and all that.
Yeah.
And found a hell of a deal on it. And so I've kept that. And then the third one is from before electronic music when I was in this band. And it's like the dream drum set that I saved up forever to buy. It's a really fucking dope, really nice kit. So it's like I'm sure my wife would be like, "What?" I know she is. I have like a cabinet that's just dedicated to drums in the garage. Like it's like a custom built cabinet that like holds all the drums.
Yeah.
And like I've had to explain why I have like literally 30 fucking drums in a cabinet, you know. But they all have a separate meaning and a separate usage.
That reminds me of a video I think you put out with both of you a long time ago where I think she says like, I knew you were serious about music, but I didn't know how serious.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you need all this shit? Yeah. So if I had to get rid of 2 of those drum sets, I would probably still keep the old shitty sounding nostalgic one over the other ones, which are replaceable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that sense. So, but yeah,
That's what's up, man.
yeah.
That was that real. That was
Also,
the piece
like,
of STATX
hell-
right there.
Yeah. Also, like, I just realized I loaned out like some percussion shit to someone like a hot minute ago. This conversation brought that back. But yeah, all kinds of like little bongos and tambourines and
You about to
fucking
hit him with the
cowbells.
scorpion? Tell him to get over here.
Hey, yeah. Where's my shit, dude? But yeah, little percussion things like that. So
That's what's up.
drums everywhere, and I don't use any of them.
But one day, man, one day.
Yeah. How about you and guitars? What's your guitar collection looking like?
It's pretty small. I just have primarily it's just this one. You see, my fucking room all messed up. But just damn it, I got small ass wire. So here we got this. How we do this? How we move my hand? All right, there we go. That's my nostalgia electric guitar, because that's $300, maybe $300 guitar, if not cheaper, that my father bought me. That was my first electric guitar, so I still kind of just use that. One day I'll probably buy something dope, but I almost it's funny, someone told me this recently, like, oh yeah, he told me like he wants this like fancy ass guitar amp, but he said he's not worthy of it. But I you know, my response, because I know he's very, very, very well off, so I was like, dude, you should just get it if you want it. And he's like, no, because I'm like, unlike us, like, he ain't exactly making music or not, you know. So I was like, you know, like, he's just learn songs and that's it. You know, he doesn't even get gig or nothing, you know. So I was like, dude, like, what goal are you aiming for that you need to put a barrier, you know, in front of whatever you want, if you can afford it, you know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Steve, I'm sorry, I was putting groceries away that whole time, but you were talking about your drum kits and the nostalgia behind it. Like, I still have the first electric guitar that my dad bought me, and I'll probably never get rid of that guitar. Kind of same thing.
Hell yeah.
I have a classical guitar that he bought me when I got into music school as well, that I will never get rid of, no matter what. But I wanted to ask about your drum kits. I know you say you got the newer ones.
Yeah.
What kind of wood are they?
Oh, fuck. Let me see if I might have to Google that shit.
I don't know. I mean, we already have you at 56K. You might drop to 24K if you Google that.
No shit, right? Yeah. If I, yeah, like you said, if I turn into a JPEG, you know what happened. Maple.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, but I guess I asked about the wood on your drums and I didn't hear anything back. So, and then you guys were
Yeah,
talking about pixelation. I don't know
we
if you got dropped out or what happened.
that's probably exactly what happened. We were talking about
Okay.
the stream taking a shit when I Google this. So I just looked it up. That kit specifically for the drum nerds out there is a Tama Superstar Hyperdrive Maple drum kit.
Okay.
So yeah, that one's
That's
maple.
that's the nice one you got, or that's the first one you had?
That's the nice one. The first one I
Okay.
believe is plywood.
Yeah. Okay.
And
The
2x4s.
I don't know nothing about wood, but that just sounds bad.
Abe's laughing, but so the reason why I know is, as Abe's told you before, because I've heard this story about the salesman.
Yeah.
I used to work sales, and I used to have to flip
He was the salesman.
gear.
He was the salesman.
So I wasn't really good at selling drum kits because I wasn't a drummer. Also, selling drum kits is hard because it's lots of pieces, and it's like it's probably the more expensive of like if someone's gonna start playing music, you know, and you bring them over to a drum kit, like their parents aren't always down to buy something they're gonna be banging on super loud all the time.
Yeah.
It depends if they live in a house or an apartment. But a lot of times those beginner kits are like $500-$600, or they could buy like a beginner guitar kit for like $100 and get a free guitar lesson.
Yeah,
with
and some
purchase,
headphones.
you know? Exactly.
Yeah, I think that first kit I got was like around the 500 range for like damn near the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Your cymbals are probably made of plastic or something.
Yeah, those cymbals were like, I think I had some like hand-me-down shit from someone else. It was very
That's
it's
still
a
probably
weird,
a better move.
it's got like a kind of a cool like muffled sound because of the way it is, but like the way that whole thing started was like in the beginning I saved up money to buy a snare drum and a stand. And then like months later I saved up enough to buy a hi-hat stand and 2 hi-hats. And then like a cymbal and shit, you know, and these are just like what I could finally afford this $60 cymbal, you know what I mean? And then like for Christmas one year my parents got me like the rest of that kit, like the kick drum and 3 toms or whatever it was. So it's kind of like a little bit of a Frankenstein kit because of that. But
You could have one of those, what do they call them, the jazz kits that are, it's like just kick, hi-hat, snare, and they're all like fucked up, like the Louisiana jazz kits.
right, yeah,
They just look like they've been beaten to shit, but that's the kit that you want. Just hi-hat, snare. Your kick might just be like a floor tom.
right.
You know?
On its side, yep.
Right. But yeah, I was just curious about the wood because I think if you got a maple kit, those kits are pretty bright. I believe maple is typically pretty bright.
Yeah, that kit was that was like a, I don't even know how to classify that band. I mean, it's like hard rock / like quasi tiptoeing into metal, but like heavy doom metal riff type of stuff.
Is that the intro?
Yeah, like that. That's a remade version of one of the tracks from that band. So music like that. So part of the reason I wanted that kit is because it cut through the way that it did, and like the snare, like I did some modding shit to make that snare cut through. Like I had a marching snare drum head on the snare. Like the snare was, I basically made it into like a tank. Like the crack on that shit would just cut through everything, and the toms on that specific kit, I remember when it came out I was like, oh shit, this is what I've been like looking for, you know. So yeah, that along with the whole maple thing, like the cymbals that I got for that, it's just like getting the top of the line one that like is made for cutting through all the sound, you know what I mean? Like it's extremely loud drum kit. But anyway,
that would make sense because, you know, just from the intro song, which is the only thing I've heard, you know, it is pretty heavy stuff. So,
yeah,
you know, everything's already tuned down as it is. So it would make sense for you to want something that'll really cut through on the higher frequencies if that's where you have a lot more room.
yeah.
So, you know, all of that makes sense. And then to tie it all off, I was going to say, you should bust out your kits and build your packs from your kits, man.
I've thought about doing that as
You
well.
don't even need to set up the kit, right? You could just bring out the one drum and just bang it yourself.
Yeah, true, dude.
Hey,
Yeah,
blast
just
I'm
Do the
dead serious.
velocities. Do the velocities.
Put a
Yeah.
bunch of random shit inside there to make it sound all different, like different reverbs.
Prepare
stuff like
drum kit. Prepare drum kit,
Yeah.
dog.
that. There you go. Prepare a drum kit. Add some like just loose keys, like on your like cymbals or some shit, and just crash on that. You know, Omnisphere's got like I know you didn't dig into Omnisphere too much, but Omnisphere will have stuff like, oh, I just like let's take this tire from a bicycle and spin it real quick and set it on fire and then use a violin bow to play against the burning rubber, and we're going to record that sound. And like that's literally like a sample that you'll find.
I can't
in
remember that
Omnisphere.
sound designer's name, but yeah, his Instagram used to be filled of all the videos he would make for those
Yeah, it's
patches,
just
and
like
it's
this
always
random stuff
insanity.
that really breaks. I think there is like in terms of like
The
just
burning
random
piano is a
stuff,
famous one. If you type that on YouTube,
Yeah.
like burning
I
piano
think-
Omnisphere, you can see him making it.
You know, I
What?
think Tool
Burning
did a
piano?
bunch of weird stuff
Yeah.
like that. I remember seeing a video of them in the studio, and there was like a piano that they like took a shotgun to, and they were like recording the sound of the piano, like as they were like shooting into it or like throw it onto the ground, and just the sound that everything makes when it hits the ground. They record all that stuff.
That's kind of along the lines of something that I've been starting to do lately, which is add Foley to beats. Almost as much. It would almost. It has like the same importance now as like adding a hi-hat. You know, it's almost like I just need this in every, just to add some kind of like organic Foley shit.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
water.
And
like when
Even
I'm
like
mixing
turn it down.
water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be like prominent. You know what I mean? But it's in there and it makes a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one thing that I always try to add, and like lately I've been more lazy just because I pay for splice, so I dig for like loops in there and just chop up little sections that I like. But like if you have like just adding like a shaker, you take like a live, like I have these two little egg shakers that I'll throw in a bunch of my stuff, and just like sometimes just that little bit, it's just like, oh man, it's got this like organic groove now.
Yeah.
These two little egg shakers right here. Boom.
Yeah.
All you need.
That's dope.
He looked
Trying
away
to-
while I was doing it.
I was trying to find my shaker. Everybody pulled their shakers out.
No,
and
when
shit.
I
don't know where
look,
it's at.
when I, yeah, he looked away. Yeah.
pulled it out of my shaker pocket.
See if I can find it. Here we go.
Oh shoot!
Shaker gang.
There we
What up?
go. That's all you need. Just something as simple as that will totally add a whole.
I'm messing up. I need to get me a shaker. I fucked up.
Little
There you
little
go.
egg shaker, dude. Yeah.
Little egg shaker for your beat battles, and then you're set.
Damn.
Step your game up, dude.
What I want to do, because he was asking me before my guitar collection, so that's my main thing. You see, I do have a 5-string bass. That one actually is like a quality instrument, even though I never play it, but it is a quality.
Is it Ibanez?
Both of them are Ibanez, the guitar and the bass. But
I don't even know why. I have fucking a couple guitars and a 5-string Ibanez bass as well. Back from trying, like when I first started producing beats, I was still in like being in a band recording live instruments mode and trying to make beats out of like playing the bass and a guitar.
yeah,
And I've just kept that stuff, you know. Like I've had a bunch of shitty $100 like whatever, $150, couple $100 guitars, and then one day I was just like, I'm just gonna buy one nice fucking guitar and stop bullshitting with these other shitty ones, and then like one nice bass, and I have one nice acoustic, which I rarely play any of those now, but you know, they're there. But yeah, what about the other guitars you have, or
yeah.
your
I'll
bass?
say that real quick. I would like one dope guitar, also like that isn't just a sentimental dope, like just because I think like I use these narrow DSP plugins, and I'm like, man, like I hear the tone, and I'm like, so that's probably what a real instrument does, you know, like because I you know, it does make my thing sound dope, but then I'm like, I'll literally, some of these people, they'll pull up the preset, they ain't even do nothing yet, and I'm like, yo, my shit don't sound like that. And I could see like they'll start playing with the knobs, and I'm like, all right, that's what probably a real guitar, that little extra oomph that most people can't hear. I'm like, that's probably it.
Yeah, like it can only be as good as like what you're feeding it.
Yeah,
Type of
exactly.
deal.
Exactly. And when you feeding it dope shit, then the plugins dope shit too. You know, like,
Right. Yeah,
uh,
because amp emulations have come a long way,
they
dude.
have, they have. They're kind of amazing what they could do with the. I just learned about IRs and all that stuff. You know,
Oh yeah.
I still
Yep.
basically barely understand them, but and just enough to understand like they exist. And like we can literally make our own pretty simply. It's pretty ridiculous, you know.
Yep.
But no, I have like 4 nylon guitars that were my father's, and I've been seeing these young kids. I don't, I don't, I stumbled onto it by accident, but yeah, but you know, like these young kids, I guess they have high level of chops, but they make like a lot of 1 minute songs, that are very melodic and you know tapping, and I'm a guitar virtuoso type shit. And
Right.
then usually I go check out their music and it's super disappointing because it honestly just sounds like normal music. Like, because it's usually pop or hip hop or trap, like whatever is the hot flavor, but they just happen to be really dope at guitar, so they incorporate that into it. And it
But they're
sounds
like 12 years old and they're amazing.
well, no, so I'll say young. They're actually usually in their, or they're probably in a 20 to 29 range. But I'm like, all right, that's the next generation of guitar god I don't know anything about because I just don't follow that anymore. You know, Steve Vai was my world, right? All those people.
Right.
But now it's
Yeah.
like, now it's Manuel Fernandez, wherever the fuck he's from. He's like in Spain or some shit, you know? And he's doing 1 minute videos, you know? But yeah, no, like some of the stuff they do, they sometimes I think like, I'm like, because you were talking about the real instrument stuff and like how like you know it is different mixing those, and of course that's true, but at the same time sometimes like for me I'm like, man, I think I pedestal like the problem I have, like I pedestal the voice so much that sometimes I think I just don't know what to do with it, and I just end up making it sound worse because I think of the voice as such pristine shit that I'm supposed to do it in this certain special way instead of just treating it like another audio thing, you know. And so when I see these the younger generation play guitar, I'm like, they'll just take acoustics and run them through these amp simulators, and I'm like, they're getting all these weird tones that I think had we done it in our day, we would have been like, that's trash. But because it's different, it's actually good now, you know. Or they'll just do stuff like that, or they would just, even with their electric guitars, like I never thought about like vocoders or Mike Dean with auto tune on your guitar, and like just all the things you're not supposed to put on guitar, just put it on guitar. And I'm like, oh man, like just new sound design ideas for a guitar. And I'm like, I see that, so I'm like, I would love to like get my nylon, because it hasn't been played since he died, you know. And I'm like, get at least the one nylon that has a plug-in in it, but you know, a DI component I guess in it,
Right.
and get that at least somewhat playable. I could probably play it as is now, but you know, just dope. And then maybe start using that in weird ass ways, you know, like putting neural DSP on it, or who knows what else, you know.
Right. Start.
Like,
Yeah. That. Yeah. Like doing like what is it, like unorthodox things, or like breaking the rules, or
yeah,
taking another kind of technique that's sort of in the same realm, is like taking two different things and putting them together to make something new.
yeah.
Like you said, dude took auto tune and put it on a guitar.
Mike Dean, yeah, he does that on
Yeah.
Kanye West albums a lot, and you know, whenever he's guesting a solo.
Chris Klein used to do that on violins.
Oh really?
Whenever he was recording string quartets in his studios.
But when
those
Klein did it, he's
instruments-
probably doing it to make it sound good, right?
Well, right, because
Yeah,
playing those string instruments is like, first off, if they're not all in the room at the same time,
yeah.
they should at least be intonated with each other, right? But those are also fretless instruments, so you literally have to be absolutely incredible.
No,
So,
I
like-
just wanted to highlight that because obviously Mike Dean's doing it to sound stupid, you know, like, because
Yeah, you can do it either way. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You're doing it to lock the pitch in, or to just make it so that the intonation was right. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, you know, just like the way T-Pain did, right? You could use it to break it. And
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
beat I did last week, for the one I rapped on, when I was waiting for somebody to send in a whip, I whipped out the Ableton session, and yeah, I did highlight the guitar because I was like, I did the auto tune thing on this one, you know. So yeah, every now and then, if I remember, I'll try that just to get a weirder sound, you know.
It's all about getting weird, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that. Big fan. Big fan of that. But yo, anything else y'all wanted to touch on? Otherwise, I think that might be it. We got a good healthy chunk, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other thing I was gonna ask, you were talking about a godlike guitar. Like, what is a godlike guitar for you? Because it's so different for many
So realistically, I probably don't understand what is good or bad about guitars, right? So like just the one that cost too much money, you know, like so it has all these bells and whistles that are supposedly dope, so I could maybe understand
Let
what
me
it
see. Let
really
me
is.
see if I can help. Maybe you go into a certain direction. Do you want something that's got like good pickups, is heavy and cuts through on leads, or do you want something that sounds
You see,
full?
I
And
don't
of
even
course,
know anything about that.
you
So
know,
it's like I have a $300 guitar. It doesn't matter what direction I go in. They're probably all going to be better pickups than what I
yeah.
have.
I mean, I think for me, because I'm a guitar player, it is
Yeah,
important to think about that stuff.
for sure. But I feel
And
like
for me, the guitar that I've always wanted, and I've just never gone and bought one. I've always wanted some sort of hollow body, just because it adds a lot of color. It's a much warmer sound. It's much fuller. Lately, I play a lot of stuff clean. Like I don't use a lot of distortion on my beats.
yeah, I've seen, yeah.
One of the guitars that I have, I bought to play in a punk metal band. So like it's pretty heavy, and I can play fast on it and stuff like that. It's an Ibanez RG series.
Yeah.
It's pretty metal fucking looking. You know, it's got that wood finish on it, wood grain finish. But I can't play clean shit on there, and like I would really like a nice hollow body. And Ibanez makes some really nice ones, but so does Epiphone and Gibson. And
I probably wouldn't want nothing for metal at this point in my life because I don't
yeah,
go
but
fast.
that being said, although you don't use it for metal, you are very lead heavy,
Yeah.
and you do add your high gain player. When I hear your shit, it is piercing and it is coming in hot. So like
Well,
you
that
probably
patch I made years ago, that's why. So I didn't realize clipping was bad.
yeah. I mean, like, you know, I literally, that's the first thing that whenever I hear your shit, the first thing that comes into my head is that like 28 weeks later soundtrack where it's got like this really piercing
28 weeks later?
Yeah, it's a zombie movie.
No, I know it, but I'm gonna write down the score just so I can hear the score.
I don't know who wrote the score, but like whenever I hear it, it's just like some of the melodies in there. It's just like it's kind of like slow post rocky, but it's still kind of metal. Like the melodies just really cut through.
I hear a lot of scores these days, so I was gonna hear that. I was like, oh, okay, maybe someone thinking like me. No, but that was just interesting to hear. Okay, I'm a high gain player. Look, I didn't know the proper.
I think that's interesting because like you could spend $3,000 on like a Gibson with like P90 pickups and everything sounds nice and fat, and like they're humbucker pickups, so you have almost no hum. Or you can get some EMG shit where it's just like no matter how soft you play, it sounds like you're striking the string as hard as possible. But I always wanted something that just had a little bit more organic sound and just sounded fuller and cleaner. And I've always wanted some sort of hollow body. They're a bitch to take care of with time because they usually have some sort of elevation on their action and stuff like that, or the bridges.
There's that like so I just don't have the terminology to even describe it. That's why I'm saying like I would just like want a good one just so I could start to learn, because for better or worse, right, my first camera was that Panasonic GH4 you seen me with, and now I could at least, if I were to buy another one, I could at least start to say what I want and didn't want. But when I bought that, I was like, look man, I don't know shit about shit. And I learned, of course I did the internet research thing, but I did it to a certain degree in that, like, for the things that I wanted. And the primarily thing was like, oh, DSLR is cut off. This doesn't. We good. We good. I was like,
that's all you need.
Yeah, and I guess to also add to that, like ever since I went to school, like I try really hard not to use a guitar pick because I feel like I could just play better with my fingers. And it's way easier to like play clean, full sounding stuff with my fingers on a hollow body than it is for me to play that on like my super fucking metal guitar.
I need the experience. Here, I could tell you what I don't like. I think I might be wrong on the artist, but I played a $10,000 guitar recently. It was a guitar from, I believe, Pat Metheny, I think was his name. So like the sound guy I work with at the church, he had it. and he let me play it before he told me that, and then I was like, take this back now. Once he told me it was 10 G's, I was like,
Yeah,
but
it's
yo,
pretty expensive.
that dude, like, his action super fucking high and rigid. I was like, this action was, I'm trying to play a string, and I'm like, god damn. I was like I was just trying to, because those things are rich. So I definitely don't need no crazy ass high action like that, because I'll develop those
Yeah,
forearm
but I think
muscles
it's
like
more
crazy.
of like it's more of an intonation. When I talk about it, it's more of like an intonation thing.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be hard to play. I mean, like somebody can have a
it was an
$10,000
acoustic
guitar.
guitar too, like, but it was just like,
Mhm.
Oh, that's probably why. I mean,
yeah,
we've
yeah,
been playing, we've
Yeah.
been locked away playing electric so long that
yeah,
those steel string guitars, man, they'll like break through your fingers. I hate playing them, and I
yeah,
think they sound super twangy. They're definitely like an American thing or a Western thing
yeah,
because
yeah.
in England they play those steel string. But like I like the tone of nylon better. Well, I'm biased because I went to school for classical guitar, and also like I'm South American, so like everything that's Latin America is all up like nylon. Um,
Yeah.
but all the guitar started, from nylon.
Let me let's get one more thing, and since Steve answered this, like, I think when we have Mark and Willis, I'll do the origin with you, but like, what keeps you going in the music, given all the ups and downs in both life and the music career and all that? What keeps you going for more?
No, man, it's my outlet. Um, I have so much fun making beats and so many memories, and I guess it wasn't always about beats, right? When I started, it just kind of turned into that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, dude, it's just been a part. It's been a part of me and my life and my family since I can remember. And for me, like I started off on the piano. My aunt's a harp player, and so she like taught my sisters and myself how to play the piano, and they both stuck with the piano. And I stopped playing the piano because I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't really enjoying it. But my cousin was a guitar player, and I used to watch him play guitar, and like there was just something about the guitar that really like called to me. And then my dad bought me a guitar, and like from there it was game over. I wanted to learn how to play. I really wanted to learn how to play like finger picking stuff for some reason that just like the combination of multiple strings being played at the same time and arpeggios and stuff like that just like seemed so much more fun to me than just like playing power chords. I remember this is gonna sound really silly, but one of the first songs that I learned that I thought was I just really liked the guitar riff in it, but the band absolutely sucks. It was like a song by Creed. And I just forget, but the intro had this like really like beautiful like um, melody and arpeggio, so I learned how to play it, and I was like, oh, I can learn how to play this like finger picking stuff. I can do that. Another song that I wanted to learn, and my guitar teacher laughed at me, but he was like, it was because he was a high school kid teaching me when I was in like sixth grade,
Mm.
and I had brought a song. He was like teaching everyone how to play like Nothing Else Matters, which is like I think everybody learns to play that song by Metallica at some point in their guitar career. Um, and I was like, I just wanted to learn something different, and like Craig David had that song 7 Days. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope. I ain't even
No,
know Nothing Else Matters was
you don't know
Metallica.
nothing about
I
you
was
don't know
like,
nothing about Craig David. But can we play it? Steve, are you able to play that song so we can? We just need to hear
Hold
like
on.
the beginning bit.
you guys can play it. I don't want to edit it out.
I
So
think
you
Steve has
can.
it routed. That's why I'm
Yeah,
trying
hold
to.
on a second. What?
If you
Hold
look
up.
up 7 Days by Craig David.
But
So Craig David was like a big UK like hip hop R&B artist, and he also did some like garage music back in the day. And he was on K
I'm gonna mute
Tronada.
it when you play it, just just so I don't get that in the
Yeah.
podcast.
Okay.
You can react however you need to react. But
For sure, for sure.
Hopefully this is the right one. Probably gonna get a little ad here.
okay.
Come on, man. Why
Oh,
why do why do you have why don't people have ad blockers, Antonio? I'll never understand that.
meets a girl and they fall in love and they like have sex 7 days out of the week and then they like break up at the end, and so like that's what the whole song
Man,
is
that
about.
was
But,
probably
the
like
guitar
teen
riff is
Abe's
kind of-
dream right there.
yeah, that was like the reason why I heard that song was because I had one of those Now CDs, like Now 45 or some shit.
Oh wow.
Nice.
And
Changing
I
the
like
world.
I was listening to that stuff and I was like, oh, this song's got some like this guitar is awesome. And I brought it to my guitar teacher who was like a rocker, cause Metallica, bro, fuck
Right.
yeah. And I was like, yo man, like can you like teach me how to play this song? And he was like, yeah, I guess. Like I don't really listen to that stuff. That's kind of like how he said it. And I
That
was like,
bullshit.
I'm literally a sixth grader. You're like, I just want to learn how to play guitar, and you're like steering me away.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, I thought it was just like not cool, or like I guess not manly to learn how to play that song.
If you can't headbang to it, I'm not teaching it.
Yeah. But like just little stuff like that always to me sounded much cooler than just like din, 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 you know, just strumming away at power chords. And once I learned how to play that stuff and like then started learning all these songs from these other fast bands that I liked. Like I liked Metallica. I listened to a bunch of their shit. Like they were my favorite band for a really long time. Like I know a lot about that band.
You said Metallica?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Same here with the drumming influence.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, everybody goes. I think it's just for our age and stuff like that. Especially everything up to Black Album was just so influential and so much heavy music moving forward from there.
Yep.
You know, before
Unavoidable.
before Napster and all that shit happened, and they turned into the devil.
Right.
But yeah, like
I thought
just
for most people they turned into the devil with the Black Album.
you listen to those early Metallica songs, and they all had the early Metallica albums. Like if you listen to like Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets, like their intro songs always have like a 2-minute like guitar duet bit where it's like someone's finger picking some stuff, and like if you listen to like Battery or what's the intro song to Ride the Lightning, or even to like And Justice for All, like all those songs had some like really nice like finger picking stuff in there. And so like I just always wanted to like learn stuff like that, and then when it came to just the power chording, like that stuff was always super easy for me. I was like, oh, that's all I gotta do, like
Yeah. All that stuff is easy at that point.
yeah. So
Fight
then
Fire with Fire is the intro track to that album.
yeah, Light Fire with Fire. It's like the song itself is super fast, but it's got all those albums have like a little intro piece that always sound really, really nice.
Back when people still had attention spans.
Yeah, back when people listened to a whole record.
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting, and like I know we don't want to be talking about this too long, but I was thinking about that lately about like, man, some of these, it's really hard. And so I bought a car recently, and buying a car has gotten me back into no longer being on my phone and like hitting next and stuff like that. I just put something on and like I'm driving, so I don't want to fuck with it. I'll just leave it on.
Yeah.
And Flying Lotus had a new album that came out, the soundtrack for Yasuke, so I was like listening to that on loop like all the way through. Just because it's like a soundtrack and it's meant to be heard that way. It's really hard to listen to that when you're like at the gym or when you're like going for a run, or which is when most of my listening was happening.
Same.
And then there's another album that I need to put it on so I can listen to it all the way through while I'm driving. But Billie Eilish just put out a new album, and I listened to like the first 3 or 4 songs, and like it's interesting because her biggest fan base is all like young kids, which don't have attention spans because they all grew up with technology and social media, tying it into your podcast and distractions on social media.
Yeah.
But like
I was just gonna say, none of those kids are gonna be hearing this, so feel free to.
Yeah, absolutely. But like all those like kids that like don't have those attention spans, they like, it's interesting because that's her biggest fan base. She's like 20 or 19, or I don't even think that she's 21 yet. And she just put out this new album, and I was listening to it, and it's like a lot of the songs like they're like really beautiful and long, and there's like a lot of space, and like they're like compositions.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty interesting for somebody who's such a big pop icon, because usually it's just like we need that drop to hit in like 5 minutes, It's got to
Yeah.
be catchy. It's got to be poppy. And I'm like listening to this album, and I'm like, you know, parts of me are like impatient, and I just want to like hit next or fast forward. But I'm like, no, this is really interesting. It's like I haven't. It's been so long since I've like sat down and listened to a record the way you're supposed to. Where I was telling Abe, like when I was younger, I used to always go to the CD. I would save up my money, and I would go to the mall with my friends, and we would always go to the CD store, and like they had these. I'm sure they had that here as well, but I was growing up in the Middle East, and the store that I went to had like CD towers of like their popular CDs at the time.
Yeah.
And you would put the headphones on, and you would just pick the CD, and you could skip through, and like if you liked something, then you could buy it.
They used
And
to
I
have those
was
at Waterloo. Not to cut you off, but they used
Yeah.
to have those at Waterloo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. They probably still do actually. You know,
Might.
I haven't been
Usually
in there
for
in a
these
while.
days,
Yeah,
it's
you're
for
right.
vinyl now at this point. If a store has
Yeah.
that, you know.
Actually, yeah, at the record store, like, you know, you go into
Yeah.
the dollar bin, they have a little record player. I used to pop, you know, when I'd go and look for like 25-cent records,
Yeah.
just go through and pop them in there and see if there's any stuff I could sample. But yeah, I even remember like one of the CDs, like I couldn't really find anything that I liked. And I went up to the guy, like in Qatar where I grew up, there was like a lot of people from the Philippines, and he was like a Filipino rocker dude. And I was like 14. I was like, hey man, like, what's like new and popping? Like, what should I listen to? And he gave me Linkin Park Hybrid Theory. He's like, you gotta listen to this shit, bro. And I was telling Abe that sometimes back then, like, sometimes I made a bad decision and bought a record that was not good. And I just made myself listen to it over and over because I paid for it.
Been there, done that.
I bought it. I invested in it. I'm listening to it over and over until I find some songs that I like. And, you know, some of them were hit or miss. Like I bought an Electric Six record because they had that one poppy song, like the Gay Bar song. I want to take you. You know which band I'm talking about?
No, pull it up.
Electric Six.
Pull it up, young Jamie. What's it called?
It's Electric Six is the name of the band, and the song is called, I think, Gay Bar. I want to take you to a gay bar. If you put that in, it'll pop up.
I want to say real quick while he looks that up.
Can I just type gay bar into Google? And then
You could. There's going to be a lot of options.
But while he looks that up, I definitely am guilty of that. Not just with music, but if things aren't getting me on the first listen or viewing for media, maybe not first viewing for me, but you know, like not quick enough, like maybe episode or you know whatever the relative is for TV, but or YouTube content, whatever, I will do it. But I think in this case, right, it's less about being attentive now and more like I'm just leveraging the field. Like, sure, like we might be missing out on some stuff because we're not waiting, but at this point, there's a saturation of so much that I'm like, yo, like if you can't get me in on that first one, like there's no loss. It's not like I'm not gonna have music. It's not like I'm not gonna have TV, YouTube, whatever it is I'm consuming, because like there's an abundance of everything that's like, yeah, you know, like I mean that just is what it is. I don't even think it's a negative as so much as just like just leverage shit, you know.
Yeah, but I guess, you know, going back to like, you know, you buy that record you don't like, or maybe you don't like that many songs. Like there were a lot of bands that like grew on me because I just listened to them so much because I had invested in them, and I was like, no, I'm listening to this shit. And like it's funny because like the songs that I liked initially would be different towards the end because I had listened to it so many times that like all of a sudden there was another song on the record that had become my favorite song. I remember that Linkin Park album, like, you know, there was that Crawling in My Skin song or whatever the fuck it's called. That was like the popular song. And then I remember by the end of it, like there was a whole other song that was like my favorite one. Once I had listened to it over and over.
I mean, that's from the old days where that song probably has like that album probably has like 5 videos, and I mean, like if not more. And yeah, for me, that might be close to like a perfect album. Like it's pretty crazy, like how like right in that world where like how come a band doesn't make every album like a single? I'm like, that's a good example.
I think that album also is just like perfect for its time and for what they were doing. Because if I listened to that shit now, I would probably just turn it off.
Nah, I think it's still dope because it's so different.
I wouldn't like. I don't think I'd be captivated by it because even right now, whenever like I grew up a metalhead, dude, and like I'll listen to like some metal stuff now, and like some of it's like back in high school, I would have been all over it, and I would have been down the discography. And now I'm like, I listen to one song, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like Between the Buried and Me is a perfectly good example. They just put out, or they're about to put out Colors 2,
Yeah.
which is their iconic album, Colors.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of, or if you listen to Between the Buried and Me, Steve, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I was
He's
gonna say
searching for
the
this gay bar. Is having a tough time.
oh, that shit's been pulled up, dude. Whenever y'all are ready for it. But no, I didn't even catch the name that you were.
Between the Buried and Me
Between
Colors.
the Buried and Me, also known as BT Bam. They're essentially one of those like virtuoso metal bands. Like most of the guys went to like Berkeley School of Music, and it's
I
like
didn't know they were Berkeley too.
It's progressive death metal, but it's also got like hardcore elements where there's just lots of like break beats and stuff like that.
I gotcha.
Or breakdowns, I should say.
Makes me think of like Dream Theater. Like everybody in the band is everybody in the band has like a master's degree in their instrument.
That's pretty much it. It's like that, except more newer age metal. Because Dream Theater, that's heavier. Like, you know, they started in like the early 80s, maybe even the late 70s. But
I haven't heard them, but like sometimes that shit can be too much if they like lose the groove or the feel of the song, you know, like it can be cool, especially if, as someone that like analyzes specific instruments within songs, you know, as like a producer. But a lot of people hear that shit and they're just like, this is like a drum solo over a bass solo over a guitar solo right now. Like,
absolutely.
I can't take that.
And I can tell you this right now. That band is fucking amazing. They're incredible. You ever get a chance to see them, go fucking see them.
That's how me and Tomas met.
Yeah, that's how we met. We met at Between the Buried. Well, we saw each other at the concert and we didn't talk, and then we ran into each other at school. We were at that concert, right?
It's the universe. It was the prologue.
But it's like, yeah, man, it's like their new records are still like they're still virtuosic and stuff, but like I'm just like, I like to listen to it. And I'm just not going. There's only like a few bands in the metal realm that do that for me right now. One of them is Gojira, and they have a new album that came out, and I'm having a little trouble being captivated by the new one. So like I have moments where I force myself to listen to it because they're one of my favorite bands. But
you just might not be in the mood for metal too currently in your current life.
That's because, and that's what I'm saying. It's just a matter of like development and age and things like that. So you're talking about Linkin Park being a perfect album. But I think had I not heard it during the time that I was, you know, I was going through puberty and all that shit, and I was all emotional.
But if you're hearing it now,
it's like an emotional metal rap, electronic album, you know.
And isn't that what music is at its core?
Exactly.
That's why I hear it now, and I'm even more impressed now than I was then because I'm like, man, you know, like.
What? I need to go back and listen to it again, but it's just like I feel like if somebody showed something like that to me right now, I probably wouldn't.
If it came out today, then I agree with you totally. If it came out today, yes, you're right. I just meant when I hear it now, I still think it's dope. And yes, part of it is nostalgia,
and that's understandable. Before it's too late, let's let Steven play the game.
Real quick before he plays it, I just want to say this: I didn't make music also when I album came out. So when I hear it now, that's why I'm even more impressed. I'm like, this is, even though it's simple, I'm like, this is simply crazy. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, there's a lot of like songwriting shit, and like for that to be their first stuff, it's kind of crazy. You know, like that's like a lot.
Even for them, even for them, it was crazy because you know you've probably heard it, but the Broken Record podcast, Rick Rubin interviews Mike Shinoda.
I think I did, yeah.
And they talk about like how they got together. I think for the most part, it was like Mike and Chester writing music together.
No, it was Mike before Chester. Even he made it seem like Chester was a bonus. He didn't want Chester.
And I think if I remember correctly, they just put together a demo, and they were like, we just looked at the back of a CD of like one of our favorite bands, and there was like an address on the back for the label, so we just like, you know, put a demo together and mailed it to them, and then they got a phone call from somebody who was like, hey, you guys want a record deal? And then like that's where the journey began.
And I know you're ready to play the gay bar song, but this is kind of important thing to say.
I was just gonna say that it's that easy.
But this is important to say, like, because this is a stereotype, like, yo, man, my favorite artist's first album is so dope, but then the rest of their shit isn't. And you know, part of that is because those are those songs they hold most precious, and that some of those songs are 7 years old, 8 years old. Like when they finally come, no, Genuine Pony, right? You know, it's kind of hard for me to believe, but you know, I'd like to think he's not lying. Timbaland saying that song was done for like 7 years before it came out, and considering how it sounds, that don't even make sense to me. But like, for anybody's first album, right? Even Dream Theater, right? Like those songs, there's a reason why a lot of people like, man, how come they never did as good as 92 and 94, right? Well, those songs, they spent years writing them, but then everything else, they show up for a studio and they make some shit in like a week or two, right? And you can say that for almost every artist. Like now it's new album time and I'm gonna spend whatever I spend. But how many of those people carry like a song for 10 years the way almost everybody's first album is, you know? I was hearing Romeo Santos from Aventura talk, and same thing about Obsession in that song, you know? And same thing, like those songs just kind of like hung around for like years, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. And you know, maybe that's the thing too. That's why when I hear Hybrid Theory and then you hear things after, I'm like, well, yeah, it's never gonna match that. They're changing, but also those songs are probably made now because hey, we make songs versus kind of that passion thing that you do in the beginning, you know? So I don't know. Little A rant there. Play the gay bar.
Play the gay bars. So this is a band called Electric Six, and this song was really catchy when it came out, and I went and bought their record. And it was like I was either gonna buy this, and my friends really wanted me to buy. They were just like, "You should buy the Tool Lateralis album instead." And I was like, "Well, I've already heard that from you guys. I would just own it, so I'd be able to hear it more often." Because my friends and I would get together, and we would each have like our backpacks with our maybe not those like little CD binders that you could buy with all the stuff. And so everybody would just bring their CDs and we would take turns playing different
Tomas
albums.
with the tech, yo. It's like, you
Yeah,
got it. I don't need to buy it.
Well, it's like I just wanted something new. It's like
For sure,
something
for
that I
sure.
had heard
Right.
already. I just
That's the
didn't
smart
own it.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I want something I haven't heard. I want something that'll surprise me, and I regretted it like within a couple of days. But this is the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, this song that I'm about to play, you liked this song, or this is just one of their popular?
It's a catchy song. I heard it and I liked it. I was like, this is fun. I want to hear their record, and the record was just not very good.
Gotcha. Well, let's relive the disappointment.
Here we go.
Let's see.
This is the good song, by the way. This is a song that made me buy the record.
Yeah.
Huh. There's a long fucking intro with no.
Stop
nothing.
playing music videos also.
Yeah.
You need to stop doing
Yeah.
that. Feel like I might have heard this somewhere.
I've
We
never
can't
heard
see
this
that.
song.
Why would you stop at that
You
part?
can't. I just want to let the people know. The people that are 3 hours deep into this podcast. I paused it like right on there's like dudes with weights. They're like lifting weights, and then there's like a statue with the dick right in between it.
I
Love
mean, he
it.
did say he wants to take you to a gay bar. You know, I mean, what do you expect?
You want me to play some more?
I think we got it. Just
Yeah,
so
we
I-
got the gist.
Because I'd be
like,
muting
so it's
the
like that.
stuff.
It's just
when
kind
you
of
do
like
it.
fast. It's kind of like punk, but it was like, it was energetic, and I was like, oh, that's kind of fun, man. I bet they got some other like heavy stuff, and like, yeah, it's a lot of like the same sound. It just got boring real quick, and I was like, oh man, this kind
Meanwhile,
of that I was hoping was like, because they just had that one song that was like, oh, that's fun, man. I could skate to that. I used to skate pretty much, so I was like, I could
Nice.
skate to that stuff.
I was gonna say. Meanwhile, the Tool album is iconic.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Tool album would have been like, the first song would have been like a 10-minute like drum intro.
Say
like,
what?
The Tool album would have been like, I would have been like committing myself, like the music would have just been different, right? It would have been like a 10-minute drum solo at the beginning, all this like,
Time signature changes and
Yeah, the song's like 30 minutes long. It was just
I still
different
have
music.
not heard like that album or really any of them. Like
Dude, Tool is fucking amazing.
I
Holy
know
shit.
people love them, but I was always right. Like when the same guy probably introduced me to both. He introduced me to Dream Theater and Tool simultaneously, and he in high school, and he was a drummer.
They're
And I
pretty
was
different.
really just captivated by the Dream Theater stuff, and so I kind of went more in that direction.
Probably because it was more intricate for like those instruments, like guitar and bass. Like, so Tool's an incredible album, but a lot of it goes around like what Danny Carey's doing. Like the guitars, and like they play some stuff and it sounds cool, but a lot of it's just like, you know, just
He
rhythmic,
definitely was on the Tool side, like more like leaning, but like for me,
rhythmic chugging. But he was a drummer, right?
yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So the idea, so at the end of the day, it's like, do you prefer Mike Portnoy or do you prefer Danny Carey? And I think most people liked Danny Carey more because I don't know. He
At
was
that
just a
point,
lot crazier.
I didn't. Again, I also didn't make music, so I'm hearing things differently back then. And but yeah, Dream Theater ended up being like the reason I even wanted to make music, because eventually I just heard some stuff that, you know, again, hip hop's my primary music, and we have a mentality like fuck everything. So it's not till Napster comes where I started really branching off, you know, to non-hip hop stuff. But like, yeah, like I heard that and I was like, what is this? Like, why is this possible? And then eventually I thought like this would be cool to do. And to this day, I still have not made anything as at least, you know, at least as trying, you know, like trying audio wise yet. Well, maybe one day I'm gonna do a prog track, like a real one. I mean, but
Start with just one song, you know, just
Yeah.
one song that's 15 minutes long. Maybe 5, you know, key signature changes.
so I have one rock song, and that's my joke prog track. But really, it's just like 4 normal rock songs attached to each other, and but they're not doing crazy intricate shit.
You gotta have crazy intricate
Yeah.
shit, crazy melodic stuff. You gotta have like, make sure you write it out on a piece of paper with all the key changes that are intended.
The
Major to minor
craziest
to-
thing in that song is there's 2 guitar solos, and the second guitar solo is a guest spot from my friend, and he actually knows how to play guitar, so he did some dope shit. And every time everybody would hear that, they were like, "You did that?" I was like, "Nah, I was solo 1." And I always felt like Dave Mustaine, because Dave would always describe like himself like, I would just do basic shit, but then I would always look at my partner guitar player and I was like, I should learn guitar one day. But he never did. But he, you know, obviously he does what he does well, but he would always look at like whoever he had, whether it's Kiko now or Marty Friedman or whoever, like, fuck, I should learn some shit. And that's what I felt like on that song, because I did solo 1 and it's like basic melodies using my high gain stuff you were talking about. And then solo 2 came and this dude's tapping, doing all kinds of crazy shit, and I was like, oh damn, this is what it's really like. I was like so yeah, that's the only intricate shit, just his solo.
Yeah.
But yo, last words before we wrap it up. We done 3. We done a 3. This is pretty impressively long podcast, considering that we had 2 cancels, and for the most part we didn't even talk about like the original idea anyway, which is just fine. But I mean, like, but
It worked out.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys want to go to a gay bar?
Hey,
Or
man.
We could.
What you doing after
Actually,
this?
the first bar that I went to after you know, a year and a half of COVID was a gay bar.
Nice.
The
Which one?
Coconut
Which
Club.
one?
The Coconut Club.
I don't know it.
You heard of it, Steve?
No.
So the Coconut Club is like a rooftop bar that's set up kind of like in the Rainbow District, like downtown Austin.
I didn't
And,
know there was a Rainbow District.
Yeah,
Is that the 4th Street?
It's like 4th
Yeah, the
Street.
4th Street. Yeah.
4th Street area. That's where all the gay bars are.
Yeah.
Got
That's
another wrinkle in the brain. All right.
Neural pathway.
There's like, so there's this place called the Neon Grotto, and it's got a few different rooms, but it's got a rooftop. And I've been seeing a bunch of my friends that are DJs getting booked there and doing nights there. Like my friend Jennifer Famstar has been DJing there a bunch.
Oh, okay, I remember her.
Peligrosa have a monthly there.
Really?
They've got a night. Yeah, and the place goes till 4 in the morning. And I went actually with my friend Rob. Abe knows Rob.
Yeah.
Falcon
Damn,
Fucker.
Rob went too. Jesus,
Yeah.
everybody's going.
That was the night that I went out. That I told you I was like. Remember, I told you I was
Got
like,
you.
Rob invited me to a show, so I got to hop on this.
Yeah.
And he never leaves his house. And so yeah, I went and like the vibe was super dope. But yeah, it was a gay bar. I had seen all the flyers for the shows that are happening there.
Yeah.
And I did not know it was a gay bar till I got there.
Yo,
Yeah,
gay
the
bars
vibe was
usually
good,
have
man.
the best vibe. They usually
Yeah.
have the best music. They usually like
The
just
music was dope.
yeah,
The dance
it's
floor
kind of
was
crazy.
nice. It was spacious. It
Best
was nice
setups.
that it was a rooftop because you're just outside, you know. So even with
Yeah.
like mid pandemic and everything, you still feel somewhat safe. You know?
That's cool.
But yeah.
Right.
So clearly the
Yeah,
answer
yeah.
is yes. Clearly the answer is yes.
All right, yeah.
We can go. We can go to the Coconut Club, Steven. Just let
There
me
you
know.
go.
I should have gone to bed like an hour ago.
Oh,
But,
you should let me know. We would have just ended it. Oh, fuck.
oh, that's cool. I'm down for the cause. You know
We
what
should
I mean?
have we should have a timer on the screen for like which just like it's like oh shit, we gotta say goodbye real quick.
I mean, I have a timer, but then like people would say interesting stuff, and I just never would stop. I just
One little thing and it would just become irrelevant.
yeah. But all right, last
All right.
words, Tomas.
The last words is that was fun. You know, I didn't think I was going to be able to be a part of this, but somehow I was able to do it while at HEB getting my groceries and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to phones. Let's go. Mobile
Shout out
service.
to phones. Shout out to new technology.
Yeah.
You guys saw me driving my car, my new car.
Shout out to
Nice.
having a car. You on team 4 wheels now? Let's go.
I'm on team 4 wheels. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Let's go.
Going places.
All right, yo. Maybe we do another one in a month or so, or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
all right.
Yeah.
May the
Yeah, I
chicken
had a
be
good time
baked.
as well, man.
Yeah, man.
It's
That's what's up.
always a good time, actually.
Yeah, man. It's always good chatting with you because we go down to Wells and we learn some shit. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, man.
Word.
May the chicken
Yeah.
be baked.
Now- Abe just needs to listen to That's a Trip Show and he'll get even more knowledge.
That's
Yeah.
a trick. Is
Come
that
on,
your
so we
show?
Yeah, you need to come like and subscribe so we can have 2 people listening
Uh-oh.
besides the
That's a
hosts.
100% listener base, depending on how marketing describes it.
It's slowly like starting to tick up, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Plug the podcast real quick.
Yeah, it's called That's a Trip. You can find it everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, at That's a Trip Show on all social media platforms.
Is it spelled any
I
type
feel
of
like-
funky?
No.
Is it spelled in? All right.
No, there's no like Z's instead of S's or anything like that.
What? What platform collects the most royalties for you?
Oh, let me
Music or podcast?
Let me shine some light on you for podcasting. You don't get paid for podcasting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. If you want to get paid for podcasting, it's basically like spend forever building up an audience, and then try to monetize through like sponsors,
I didn't know that. Well,
selling
there you
merch, stuff like that. Like, yeah, our shit is up on Spotify, for example. You don't get any streaming royalties for Spotify, which is a great play. Here we go. Here's another hour of this podcast. It's a great play for Spotcast to go so hard on podcasting because they don't have to pay streaming royalties for podcasting, and you're going to stay on their platform way longer than you would listening to music.
I said that many yeyears ago. I felt like the only reason they're
business move.
investing is just so that they could maybe make some more profit, you know, because it's real tough for them, you know. I didn't know they made a profit till I think it was Tomas or someone pointed out. No, they had a year finally where they had a positive, and I was like, huh, I didn't know they cracked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, don't do it unless you're passionate about it or really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I enjoy listening to them. That's for sure.
Cool.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
man,
you go.
and like I said, we want to have like artists on eventually one day, man. Like y'all are on the list and shit. I don't know when that'll happen, but
whenever it's time, let me know. I'll come through. So.
Yeah, you're gonna need 3 hours for Abe though.
No, our shit is fucking 1 hour and it's
you
just
could cap
it cuts
me.
off.
Yeah, you could.
Or you
cap
do
me.
4, or you break it into 4 episodes.
Or that, yeah.
Or that, yeah. No, you could cap. Look, we things could be. If that's the new challenge, maybe that's the. All right, that's next week. That's whenever we do another one. That's next podcast. It's just 1 hour. All right, that's the challenge. It's only 1 hour.
I mean,
the topic don't even matter. It's just 1 hour.
I know you're not doing like all the. I don't know what all you do with the podcast, but if you've got to render out like a 3.5 hour video, like damn, dude.
Oh,
He was
so
doing
so
them in
we
black and white at one point.
we haven't dude, did we not talk about I built a computer. Now this is nothing. This is the first computer where I render videos and it's like I can still literally do anything on this computer and it
While it's
renders like
rendering.
a joke.
Oh, shit.
And it also renders in like a couple of minutes, you know? Like I can literally play a video game on this computer and render at the same time and I'll notice nothing. It's kind
Hella
of
jelly.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
ridiculous. So, but on that Mac, oh my gosh, it was like
Forget about it.
I would just
16
pray,
hours later.
like please.
Full circle. Full circle to the Mac.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we had to just take
Yeah.
another
Hey, man.
stab at it.
Fuck Steve Jobs. So like I was saying, rip. But yeah,
But
that
nah,
is full circle. Anyway,
Yeah.
that might be an interesting challenge next time. Like, look, 1 hour podcast, the end. That's
dude,
it.
if you did our podcast, that shit would fly by for you. Like that's it, we're done. Spend like 5 minutes. You're
I
building
just
up a hell of a
kind of
tolerance.
like the free conversations because they're just kind of like hangouts where, you know, you just record and that's it, you know?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
deep
Well, some of us
dives.
got other shit to do, so we gotta, keep it to
I
an
mean, I
hour.
know I don't hold guns to your head. Like, I could always be like, yo, I gotta bounce.
He's like, I haven't moved in like 3 days. This is where I stay.
Right.
Yeah. But yo,
Oh, man.
like, may the chicken be baked.
All right, man.
May the
Make some
cake
potatoes.
be soft.
See
Oh, and I
you
guess I'll
fellas,
see y'all tomorrow for the beat
tomorrow,
battle if
yeah.
y'all doing it. Yeah. So,
Yep.
I don't know if you're gonna
I'll
do it,
be there.
Tomas, but yeah.
What's happening tomorrow? What are the deets?
Beat battle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Thursday.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think I get off early enough. So
Here you go.
I think I can do it.
I mean, the samples are out already, so like if
That's huge.
these days I post it on Tuesday-ish now.
Yeah.
So you can always make time on your time. So,
All right.
all right, dude. Have a
Sounds
good
good.
one. Bacon.
All right, guys.
All right.
Good night. Be safe.
Boosh.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
And we back, yeah, with another sample that nobody likes. CM Punk came back after 2 years UFC whack. Oh my, now he back in heaven like Jesus, except he took way more than 3 days. Not enough money in the world that can make him stay. WWA, then UFC, like 3,000. He too old to be an MC. Now under Tony Khan, he can be a new fawn. Raging in these streets for the 4th time. Team up with Adam and Axel. Time to stop crime. Only way I know how. Go straight, drop dimes. Beating them well. Rocking them bells. So much fire, they call me LL. Step to my jab, wind up in hell. Attack, attack, attack. Repeat motion, riding the wave, stroking in the ocean. Music with a groove, don't need lotion. Going in raw, ODB boasting. Action with the DP, blaze like Chun-Li. Adam, don't make it happen. Max power slide. Shiva, no weapons, you die. Cherry guitar, Floyd throws you hard. Well, guess what? You never get him back up, back up, back up.